न सिर्फ साथ दे रहे हैं, हमारे जो 42 देशों में चैप्टर्स हैं, हमारे जो भारत के 22 प्रांतों में चैप्टर्स हैं, 5000 उद्योगों के लोग जो हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, हम सब एक स्वर से और एक पूरी तन्मयता के साथ सरकार के साथ हैं, और जिस तरह से भी अपेक्षित होगा वो सहयोग करने के लिए हम तैयार हैं। और हम ये समझते हैं कि उद्योग चलाना ही हमारा कर्तव्य नहीं है, देश निर्माण हमारा भी उतना ही दायित्व है जितना सरकार में बैठे हुए लोगों का। हम उद्योग भी चलाएंगे और देश को भी आगे बढ़ाएंगे। इसी भावना के साथ आज मेरे को प्रसन्नता है हमारे माननीय महेश पोद्दार जी को निमंत्रित करते हुए और मंच उनको देते हुए। और इस बीच में हमारा फेडरेशन ऑफ इंडियन इंडस्ट्री का एक छोटा सा वीडियो 2-3-4 मिनट का चलेगा, तब महेश जी हमारे समक्ष होंगे। थैंक यू श्वेता जी, ओवर टू यू, आप वीडियो चला सकते हैं। आवाज नहीं आ रही, इसको 0 से स्टार्ट कीजिए ना।
स्किल बेस्ड, नॉलेज बेस्ड, आइडिया बेस्ड, Namaskar, I am Deepak Jain, Director General, Federation of Indian Industry. We are working towards bringing a paradigm shift in the face of Indian industry. We are working with skill-based, knowledge-based, idea-based industry to create a robust, self-reliant Indian economy. Federation of Indian Industry, creating opportunities, building nation.
Over to Sweta, ma'am.
नमस्कार महेश जी।
नमस्कार जी। नमस्कार सर। और सर
वेलकम सर।
नमस्कार जी। कैन यू हियर मी? आप?
हाँ हाँ, आपकी आवाज साफ है।
ओके, वेरी गुड।
हम लोगों ने कुछ शुरू की औपचारिकताएं आपके आने से पहले निपटा ली।
नहीं, बेहतर किया, क्योंकि अदरवाइज मुझे भोजन नहीं मिलता।
ठीक है, आप विषय शुरू कर सकते हैं।
और हमारी मीटिंग आज सुबह 9 बजे से शुरू हो गई थी
जी।
तो आप समझिए कि 8:30 बजे नाश्ता हुआ था, तो एक लंबा अंतरकाल भी बीत चुका था, तो भोजन की आवश्यकता भी महसूस हो रही थी। तो आपने अच्छा किया। तो ठीक है, आपकी इजाजत हो तो
जी आप शुरू कीजिए ना। जी।
ये सबसे पहले तो मैं श्री दीपक जी आपको धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा कि आपके नेतृत्व में FII, जिसे मैं कई सालों से इधर जानने लगा हूं, और जिन्होंने मुझे मौका दिया इस विषय पे बोलने के लिए, महत्वपूर्ण विषय है ये और देश निर्माण का विषय है। और मैं समझता हूं कि मेरे जो एक साधारण इंसान की तरह जो मेरे थोड़े बड़े अनुभव है, उस आधार पे कुछ बातें मैं आप लोगों के समक्ष रखना चाहूंगा। तो जब मैं निमंत्रण पत्र पढ़ रहा था तो एक महत्वपूर्ण पंक्ति की ओर मेरा ध्यान गया, जो निम्नलिखित थी, that India is one of the fastest growing construction linked infrastructure market in the world. I wish this could be said 50 years back, but it's never late. Yes, it's true that जो हम कुछ उत्पादन करते हैं, निर्माण करते हैं, तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो कंस्ट्रक्शन के साथ जुड़ा होता है, उसके बहुत अच्छे परिणाम समाज को अल्पकाल में, दीर्घकाल में, मध्यम काल में ये मिलता रहता है और मिलते ही रहते हैं। पिछले दिनों मैंने पार्लियामेंट में बजट पे भाषण देते समय कहा था कि 70, 7 और 70 साल की उपलब्धियों को, आंकड़ों को देख ले, अपने फॉरेक्स रिजर्व को देख ले, अपने नंबर ऑफ व्हीकल्स को देख ले, जिस चीज का भी आप देखें, और उनकी तुलना पिछले 7 साल में क्या हुई है, तो 70 साल के जो आंकड़े हैं उसमें आपको मिलेंगे डेढ़े दुगने 50%, 100%, 200% growth in last 7 years. And then I have said that let's think of what happens after 77, what happens in next 17 years. Then the way we are growing, the growth rate which we have established, if we continue to grow at this rate, then can you imagine next 17 years where we will be? Fantastic. आप कल्पना नहीं कर सकते। अभी मैं थोड़ी देर जाहिर साहब को सुन रहा था, जब उन्होंने कहा कि हम देश के साथ है, तो अब हर भारतीय को एक एहसास हो चला है कि वो सक्षम है, वो एक सक्षम देश का नागरिक है, कई मामलों के कारण, कई उदाहरणों के कारण और कई घटनाओं के कारण हमें कुछ ऐसा विश्वास हो चला है एक आम नागरिक को, कि हाँ, हमारी सरकार, हर परिवार सोच रहा है कि हमारे लिए कहीं न कहीं सरकार कुछ न कुछ कर रही है। तो ये जो भावना होती है, ये देश निर्माण के लिए सबसे आवश्यक होती है और बहुत सारी समस्याएं उसी से दूर हो जाती है, विशेषकर सोशल एंड पॉलिटिकल इश्यूज। चीजों को हम परिप्रेक्ष्य में देखें तो यहाँ कुछ आंकड़े मैं आपके समक्ष रख रहा हूँ। 1950 में नेशनल हाईवे की लंबाई करीब 20,000 किलोमीटर थी। वर्तमान में ये करीब 1.3 लाख किलोमीटर है। 1950 में 2 लाख किलोमीटर का सड़क का नेटवर्क, 70 हिस्सा ग्रामीण सड़कें, और अब 44 लाख किलोमीटर से अधिक होगी। इत्तेफाक नहीं है ये कि जब वाजपेयी जी की सरकार आई थी तो उन्होंने 4 बड़े शहरों को जोड़ने की एक महत्वाकांक्षी योजना चालू की थी, और उस समय के हिसाब से उतने बड़े टेंडर कभी नहीं हुए, किसी सरकार ने नहीं किए, लेकिन वो टेंडर हुए। और मुझे याद है कि अ, अ, एक भी विवाद उन टेंडरों को लेकर के नहीं हुआ। ये खंडूरी साहब शायद इस योजना को हेड कर रहे थे। गाँव में सड़कों को जोड़ने के लिए जो उन्होंने योजना बनाई थी, तो कोई प्रश्न पूछ सकता है कि वाजपेयी जी अगर 2000 के आसपास इन्होंने शुरू की थी, तो उसके बहुत पहले बहुत लोगों ने ये कल्पना क्यों नहीं की? यदि कल्पना थी तो उसे जमीन पे क्यों ना उतारा? तो कहीं न कहीं एक पॉलिटिकल कमिटमेंट, एक विचारधारा, उससे प्रेरित होके अगर राजनीति होती है और सरकारें चलती है, जो जनहित के लिए चलती है, अंत्योदय के उद्देश्य से चलती है, तो वहाँ ये योजनाएँ स्वतः उनके दिमाग में आ जाती है और स्वतः उसपे काम चालू हो जाता है। तो वाजपेयी जी जहाँ छोड़ के गए थे, वहाँ पे मोदी जी ने उसको अ, फॉरवर्ड किया। और बीच का जो अंतराल बीता, उसके आंकड़े भी यदि देख लें कि उस दौरान क्या-क्या नई चीज़ें शुरू हुई थी और किस रूप में वो चल रही थी और आज उनका स्वरूप क्या है। हम ये नहीं कहते कि सारी चीज़ें अभी हुई है, सारी सरकारों ने किया, लेकिन आई थिंक आई वुड से जैसा कहते हैं ना कि आई डिडन्ट डू एनीथिंग न्यू थिंग बट आई डिड इट डिफरेंटली। तो ये तो हम कह सकते हैं कि आज देश डिफरेंटली अपने समस्याओं से जूझ रहा है। अंग्रेज जब थे, तो उन्होंने भारत को रेल दिया और रेल दिया उनके एक अपने इकोनॉमिक एजेंडा थे। और ये भारत की जो मिनरल वेल्थ या दूसरे वेल्थ, उसको एक्सप्लॉइट करने के लिए, अपनी सुविधाओं के लिए, बंदरगाहों तक ले जाने के लिए, दैट वाज़ द ऑब्जेक्टिव। आज ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है। जब लेकिन नेटवर्क उस समय भी रेल का इतना हो गया था आज़ादी के पहले कि जब गांधी जी लौटे, तो उन्होंने पूरे देश में यात्रा जो की, एक रेल नेटवर्क के द्वारा की, वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का एक पार्ट था। तो यदि कल्पना करें कि वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं होता, तो आज गांधी जी कहाँ होते? यदि वो सारे देश की यात्रा ना कर पाते, तो गांधी जी कहाँ होते? कल हमारे सदन में नॉर्थ ईस्ट पे काफ़ी देर तक मैं समझता हूँ करीब 6 घंटे या 5 घंटे चर्चा हुई। और नॉर्थ ईस्ट में जो बदलाव आए हैं इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के कारण, और वहाँ लोगों को स्वीकारना पड़ा कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट की हर राजधानी तक ट्रेन का पहुँचना, हर जगह एयरपोर्ट का बन जाना और इस तरह के जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के जो चेंज हुए, तो अंत में एक बहुत वरिष्ठ सदस्य जो मेघालय के थे, उन्होंने बहुत भावनात्मक रूप से कही एक बात, जो मुझे भी छू गई और मैं समझता हूँ आपको भी छुई। उन्होंने कहा कि सबसे बड़ा बदलाव इन चीज़ों का जो हुआ है, वो ये हुआ है कि वहाँ का यूथ जो अपने आप को भारत की मेन स्ट्रीम से कटा हुआ महसूस करता था, आज वो अपने आप को जुड़ा हुआ महसूस करता है। वह भी उतना ही भारतीय महसूस होता है करता है अपने आप को, जितना कि हम और आप करते हैं। बोले आज उसके लिए काम करने के अवसर चाहे बैंगलोर में हो या मुंबई में हो या गुजरात में हो, वो कहीं भी जाने के लिए तैयार होता है और वो अपने आप को कटा हुआ सा महसूस नहीं होता है। तो ये बात आपको मैं देश की सुरक्षा की दृष्टि से भी कितना महत्वपूर्ण है, आप इसकी विवेचना कर सकते हैं। अगर यही बात हमारे कश्मीर में हुई होती, तो शायद बहुत सारी स्थितियों से जो हम महँगा सॉल्यूशन अ, हम जो ढूँढ रहे हैं, शायद वैसी स्थिति नहीं होती। सड़कें क्या करती हैं? सड़कें एक अल्पकालीन रूप से रोज़गार के अवसर तो ज़रूर प्रदान करती हैं और कितने रोज़गार? आप मैं उस राज्य से झारखंड से आता हूँ, जहाँ पे स्टोन चिप्स काफ़ी बड़ी मात्रा में बनते हैं और बांग्लादेश को भी निर्यात होता है, देश के दूसरे राज्यों को भी निर्माण होता है। तो उन रिमोट जगहों में जहाँ रोज़गार की दूसरी कोई संभावना नहीं और वहाँ पे मात्र आपको कुछ चट्टानें हैं, जिनको तोड़ करके लाखों लोग स्टोन चिप्स बना रहे हैं, जो सड़कों में जा रहे हैं। तो आप जो दिख रहा है आपको सड़क के ऊपर उसको ना देखें, बल्कि उसके पीछे कितने लोग लगे हैं, कितने लोग बालू निकालने में रेती निकालने में लगे हैं, उनको भी देखें। जिन लोगों ने गोल्डन क्वाड्रिलेटरल का मज़ाक उड़ाया था, वो आज सोचें कि आज जब हम 40 किलोमीटर तो ऑलरेडी कर रहे हैं पर डे नेशनल हाईवे, और 50 का हमारा लक्ष्य है, जो कि 40 भी रिकॉर्ड है, 50 भी एक रिकॉर्ड बनेगा। तो इस बात को हम ये देखें कि ये कितने सपने और कितने आकांक्षाओं को ये उड़ान दे रहा है। आज ग्रामीण सड़क योजना के तहत एक रिमोट से रिमोट जगह का बच्चा भी वो दूसरे जगह में, शहरों में, रेलवे स्टेशन में जाने की सोच सकता है और उसको भय नहीं है, वो दिन रात कभी भी यात्रा कर सकता है। हम उसे बिजली भी दे रहे हैं, उसे हम इंटरनेट से भी जोड़ रहे हैं, वो भी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का ही एक पार्ट है। वाजपेयी जी थे जिन्होंने असंबद्ध गांवों को जोड़ने की योजना शुरू की थी। मैं बार-बार उनका उल्लेख इसलिए कर रहा हूं कि आज की जो हमारी उपलब्धि है, तो उसका सपना उन्होंने देखा था, लेकिन दुर्भाग्य है देश का कि उनकी सरकार लंबे समय तक नहीं चल पाई और उसमें एक अवरोध हो गया था। लेकिन हाँ, अब की जो सरकार आई है, उसने रही सही सारी कसर पूरी कर दी और बहुत तेजी से हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। सड़क आज सीमा के क्षेत्र में कानूनी रूप से अड़चनें पैदा करके सड़कें नहीं बन रही थी। एक छोटे से निर्णय ने सारी कुछ स्थिति बदल दी कि अब उन क्षेत्रों में सड़क निर्माण के लिए जहाँ सामरिक महत्व है, वहाँ पे सड़क निर्माण करने के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा कागजी कार्रवाइयों की जरूरत नहीं हो। और सड़क हम आज नहीं, आप सिरसा सूरी के ज़माने से हम भारत में नेशनल हाईवे बनाते आ रहे हैं और वो जो हम सड़क बना रहे हैं, बस रूप बढ़ गया है और ये सारी दुनिया में हुआ है और दुनिया से हम पीछे नहीं रहना चाहते हैं। सड़कें बनने का एक दूसरा आउटकम है वाहनों का। एंड एनीवेयर इन द वर्ल्ड द ऑटोमोबाइल इंडस्ट्री इज द इंजन ऑफ ग्रोथ फॉर द इंडस्ट्रियल एक्टिविटी, बिकॉज इसमें चाहे किसी भी तरह के लोग हों, सारे के सारे लोग इसमें जुड़ते हैं। तो मैं तो ये कहूँगा कि बजट में जो भी प्रावधान किया गया है आने वाले 4 सालों के लिए, 5 सालों के लिए, कि 100 लाख करोड़ से अधिक का बजट, और इस बार जो वृद्धि हुई है 7.5 लाख करोड़ का जो लक्ष्य रखा गया और राज्यों के लिए जो 100 लाख करोड़ का प्रावधान रखा गया है, वो भी एक अपने आप में अद्भुत चीज है। क्योंकि कई बार ऐसी होती थी कि नेशनल प्रोग्राम, नेशनल हाईवे जा रहा है लेकिन कनेक्टिंग सड़क नहीं है, उसके लिए उन्होंने गति शक्ति से जोड़ करके उसका भी प्रावधान किया है। तो हम तो देख रहे हैं कि नेशनल हाईवे के लिए 20,000 करोड़ रुपए दिए जा रहे हैं और अच्छी बात यह है, और मैं कह सकता हूं आप लोगों को कई को अनुभव भी हुआ होगा कि माननीय गडकरी जी का कहना है कि नेशनल हाईवे के लिए, सड़कों के लिए इस देश में धन की कोई भी कमी नहीं है। और हमने भी देखा है प्रत्यक्षतः, और हमारे मुख्यमंत्री को भी उन्होंने कहा कि आप जमीन की व्यवस्था करो और हमें बताओ कहाँ सड़क बनानी है, धन की व्यवस्था मत करो, धन की व्यवस्था हम करेंगे और धन की कमी नहीं हो। अभी 3 दिन पहले उन्होंने 1,000 करोड़ झारखंड में सड़कों के लिए रिलीज किया है उन्होंने। मतलब इतनी बड़ी सोच और इतना उदार मन कि भाई राजनीति में चाहे हम एक दूसरे के विरोधी हों, लेकिन यदि हमें नेशन बनाना है तो जहां हम आज सत्ता में नहीं है तो कल हम वहां पहुंचेंगे, ऐसा विश्वास भी होना चाहिए। और कल हम जहां हैं वहां नहीं होंगे तो ये भी दुर्भावना नहीं होनी चाहिए कि हम क्यों बनाए, हम तो सत्ता में जब, इसलिए मैंने शुरू में कहा कि राजनीति आप किस भावना के तहत कर रहे हो। अगर सेवा के तहत कर रहे हो, राजनीति में आपके कुछ दूसरे लक्ष्य हों, तो परिणाम कंटिन्यूटी होती है और उसमें सड़कें आपके यहाँ है या नहीं है उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। अभी एक बहुत चर्चित इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट है बेल्ट एंड रोड इनिशिएटिव। ये भारत भी ऐसा कुछ कर सकता था, लेकिन कुछ देश इन अच्छे सुनने वाले, अच्छे साउंड करने वाले प्रोजेक्ट के नाम पे वो अपनी राजनीतिक महत्वाकांक्षा को पूरा करना चाहते हैं, और जो कि दूसरी सभ्यताओं को भी टेक ओवर कर लो, दूसरी सभ्यताओं को भी अपने अधीन कर लो, और वहाँ की सत्ताओं को भी इस माध्यम से पंगु बना दो। आर्थिक जैसे श्रीलंका में हुआ, एक इनिशिएटिव था, बगल के देश को प्रमोट करना, हेल्प करना कोई बुरी बात नहीं है। कहीं न कहीं आज जापान से भी हम लोन लेकर के बुलेट ट्रेन बना रहे हैं, जापानी कोलैबोरेशन से बना रहे हैं, लेकिन हमें भी भय नहीं है, शायद जापानियों के मन में भी नहीं है कि हम बुलेट ट्रेन के माध्यम से भारत की राजनीति को किसी भी तरह से प्रभावित करने की कोशिश करेंगे। तो ऐसी जो कल्पनाएं जो होती है, जो इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को यूज किया जाता है डिप्लोमेटिक एंड पॉलिटिकल महत्वाकांक्षाओं के लिए, तो वो भी सही नहीं है। भारत ने भी पोर्ट में, विदेशों में अपनी ताकत दिखाई है, और बहुत बड़े-बड़े प्रोजेक्ट हमने बनाए हैं। एक चीज मैं जरूर कहूंगा कि भारत इतना बड़ा देश, इतनी पुरानी सभ्यता हमारी, कहीं हम बीच में छूट गए अलग बात है, लेकिन क्या हम सारे विश्व को निर्माण की तकनीकी नहीं दे सकते? क्या हम बड़े उदाहरण पेश नहीं कर सकते? मुझे याद है कि एक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय प्लेटफॉर्म पे जब मैंने कहा कि भारत ने 5 वर्ष में 11 करोड़ शौचालयों का निर्माण कर लिया, और आज देश का हर घर शौचालय से युक्त है, तो लोगों को विश्वास नहीं हुआ कि ऐसा हो सकता है। लेकिन बाद में उन्होंने इसे स्वीकारते हुए अपने अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मिनिमम स्टैंडर्ड में इसको एक एक्सेप्ट किया कि हाँ, हम ये जरूर करेंगे। जब हम सड़कों का निर्माण कर रहे हैं, तो इसमें एक दूसरा आयाम भी है, वो है पर्यावरण का। तो जब पर्यावरण का है, तो अब बहुत सारे इंडस्ट्रियल वेस्ट जिसे हम जगह-जगह डंप कर रहे हैं, अब कुछ काफ़ी तकनीकी पे बहुत गंभीरता से काम हो रहा है, जबकि हम ये प्लास्टिक वेस्ट को भी सड़कों के निर्माण में यूज़ कर सकते हैं, इंडस्ट्रियल वेस्ट को भी हम किसी तरह से उपयोग कर सकते हैं, और तो और शहरों के वेस्ट को भी हम कैसे उपयोग कर सकते हैं। तो ये भी एक इसका जो कहूँ मैं कि बोनस है, कि जो आपका उद्देश्य है लक्षित, वो तो आपको मिलेगा ही, लेकिन इसके साथ-साथ आपको ये सब भी मिलेगा। अंत में मैं ये दोहराना चाहूँगा कि ये सुनिश्चित करना कि प्रत्येक हितधारक की ज़िम्मेवारी है कि सड़कें अपनी क्षमता के अनुसार काम करें, और वो जन के साथ-साथ जानवरों के हितों का भी ख्याल रखें, जो कि आज बहुत अच्छी तरह संभव है। क्योंकि केवल मनुष्य के लिए नहीं निर्माण हो रहा है, ये सारे इस धरती पे जो लोग हैं, सबके लिए ये फ़ायदेमंद होनी चाहिए। और हम केवल सड़क के विकास की बात नहीं करें, ये तो एक मात्र माध्यम है, और ये राष्ट्रीय और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय रूप से स्वीकार्य है, प्रूवन है कि हम सड़कों के निर्माण के मामले में से बहुत अधिक आर्थिक गतिविधियाँ तेज़ कर सकते हैं। जैसा मैंने बताया कि ऑटोमोबाइल सेक्टर इज़ वन ऑफ द बेनिफिशियरी। आप लोगों को जान के आश्चर्य होगा कि अभी जैन साहब यहाँ से विदेश की बात कर रहे थे सड़क मार्ग के द्वारा, लेकिन बैंगलोर से कलकत्ता, आप कल्पना करें कि दक्षिण भारत से कलकत्ता कम से कम 3000 किलोमीटर होगा। वहाँ लोग बाय रोड बसों के द्वारा ट्रैवल कर रहे हैं। यदि दिल्ली से मुंबई मुझे आश्चर्य नहीं होगा यदि चलती भी होगी, तो आश्चर्य नहीं होगा कि दिल्ली से मुंबई बसों के द्वारा लोग जाना-आना करते होंगे। तो आपको बस के द्वारा आप जा सकते हैं, ट्रेन के द्वारा जा सकते हैं, फ्लाइट के द्वारा जा सकते हैं, और ये केवल यात्री या पर्यटक की दृष्टि से नहीं है, बल्कि आप इस दृष्टि से देखें कि इसके साथ-साथ जो आर्थिक जगत के जो उत्पाद हैं, कृषि जगत के जो उत्पाद हैं, वो कितनी तेजी से चल रहे हैं। आज मेघालय का उत्पन्न स्ट्रॉबेरी देश के हर कोने में घंटों में पहुंच जा रहा है। वहां पे खेती, जो फलों की खेती, फूलों की खेती बड़ी तेजी से जोर पकड़ रही है, क्योंकि यातायात के साधन हो गया। अभी माननीय गडकरी जी बता रहे थे, 4 धाम की जो यात्रा का जो हाईवे प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है, अमेरिका से 20,000 करोड़ या ऐसा कुछ, काफी महंगा देखने में लगता है, लेकिन हम सब जानते हैं कि जिस दिन ये यात्रा शुरू हो जाएगी, सड़कें सारी कंप्लीट हो जाएगी, उस दिन उस पूरे क्षेत्र की आमदनी और जीवन स्तर अचानक कई गुना बढ़ जाएगा, और यात्री जो वहां जाएंगे, टूरिज्म के माध्यम से ही वो इतना पैसा उस वहां की इकोनॉमी के, लोकल इकोनॉमी को देंगे, जिससे कि बहुत वहां पे उद्योग लगाने की संभावना नहीं, उनके जीवन में सुधारने में वो खुद ही ये होगा। यात्री लाभान्वित होंगे, वो तो एक अलग बात है। तो इन शब्दों के साथ आपने मुझे एक मौका दिया अपनी बात रखने का, और मैं इतना तो जरूर कहूंगा कि जो इंफ्रा में सरकारें निवेश करती हैं, वो एक तरीके से रोजगार के लिए पौधा लगाती हैं, रोजगार के साधन उत्पन्न करने का बीज है ये। और आज सारे देश में, जब इतने बड़े देश में रोजगार के लिए बातें होती है कि रोजगार दो, तो मान के चलिए कि सरकारें तो एक सीमित रूप से रोजगार दे सकती है। रोजगार हम परिस्थितियां कुछ ऐसी उत्पन्न करेंगे जहां से रोजगार का सृजन होगा, और रोजगार अगर मिलता है तो मान के चलिए कि बहुत सारी सामाजिक समस्या अपने आप दूर हो जाती है। धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं।
Thank you so much, sir. So I request you, Deepak Jain sir, to say special thanks to Mr. Shri Mahesh Poddar sir ji.
महेश जी भाई साहब को सुनना अपने आप में बहुत ही आनंद देता है। पिछली बार भी मुझे फिर अचानक से लगा, अरे अभी तो शुरू किया था भाई साहब ने और अभी उनका समाप्त भी हो गया। मुझे थोड़ा सा लगा कि हम थोड़ा वंचित रह जाते हैं आपकी पूरी बात सुनने से, क्योंकि एक तो आपकी शैली ऐसी है, और दूसरा एक जो दृष्टिकोण सरकार का देखने का है वो शेयर करते हैं, वो बड़ा अच्छा लगता है हमारे को। यानी 70 साल, 7 साल और अगले 17 साल, कितना अद्भुत ये विचित्र सरकार की सोच है कि हम क्या कुछ करके जाएं देश के लिए। आए नहीं आए वो बात अलग है। और मुझे लगता है कि लास्ट जो आंकड़ा हमें दिया गया था, शायद मनमोहन जी सरकार समय था वो, कि 4 किलोमीटर सड़क हम डेली बना रहे हैं, 5 किलोमीटर बना रहे हैं, बहुत ज्यादा सड़क बन रही है। आज का आंकड़ा कि हम 40 पर हैं और 50 किलोमीटर डेली बनाने वाले हैं। तो अपने आप में जो एक क्वांटम लीप है, ये हमारी तकनीक के लिए भी लीप है और राजनीतिक इच्छा शक्ति के लिए भी एक क्वांटम लीप है, जो बहुत ही बढ़िया चीज है। और इस देश को देखिए, बाहर से एफडीआई आए नहीं आए, देश का विकास उसके आधार पे नहीं हो सकता। कल को परिस्थिति दूसरी होगी तो फिर भाग जाएगा यहाँ से छोड़ करके। लेकिन अगर आपका संरचनात्मक ढांचा मजबूत हो गया, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मजबूत होगी, तो कुछ भी हो जाए वो आपको छोड़ के नहीं जाने वाला, क्योंकि उसको इंफ्रा में जो सुविधाएं यहाँ मिलेगी वो थोड़ा बहुत 19-21 भी हो गया कानून में या कोई और चीज में, उसको बर्दाश्त कर लेगा, क्योंकि वो इंफ्रा को छोड़ के नहीं जाने वाला। आज 20-25 हजार किलोमीटर का नेटवर्क हमारा जो है, ये भारतमाला का नेटवर्क है। आने वाले समय में 100 लाख करोड़ की इन्वेस्टमेंट्स हैं, और ये सब के लिए आपने ध्यान हमारा आकृष्ट कराया। और फिर 4 धाम यात्रा में एक गजब का इकोनॉमिक पोटेंशियल हम देख रहे हैं। कम से कम भी वो इकोनॉमिक पोटेंशियल हाईवे जहां गुजरता है वहां तो है ही है, 10 किलोमीटर दोनों साइड में अंदर तक जा करके वो इकोनॉमिक पोटेंशियल वहां के जीवन यापन करने वाले लोगों को अफेक्ट करेगा। मैं तो देखिए जैन हूं, समझता हूं कि जो भी प्राणी हैं, वनों में प्राणी हैं, उनकी अहिंसा तो एक बात है, लेकिन उनकी जीवन की रक्षा करना हमारा दायित्व है। हमारी फिलॉसफी ये है। और मुझे अभी अपना मंत्रालय की सूचना के अनुसार में जहां जहां घने जंगल थे, उन्होंने प्रायोरिटी जंगलों में वो जीव जंतु ठीक से पास हो सके, उसकी प्रायोरिटी दे करके फ्लाईओवर्स बनाए, ताकि ट्रैफिक ऊपर से ऊपर निकल जाए, जीव जंतुओं की लाइफ को डिस्टर्ब कतई ना करे। एक गहरी सोच है सरकार की भारतीय जीवन शैली की ओर, और इसके लिए सरकार का भी और उस सब के लिए ध्यान आकृष्ट कराने के लिए आपका भी हम हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करते हैं। और आने वाले समय में जितनी ट्रेमेंडस अपॉर्चुनिटीज निकल के आने वाली हैं हाईवेज के सेक्टर में, जो खाली बिजली, ये रेता, बजरी और तारकोल सप्लाई करने वाले के नहीं, वो पूरा स्पेक्ट्रम इकोनॉमी का लेकर के उठेंगे, और वो एक गजब का इकोनॉमिक पोटेंशियल होगा, जिसको आज के समय में सिर्फ एस्टिमेट किया जा सकता है, वो भी दूर पास पहुंचेगा या नहीं पहुंचेगा कह नहीं सकते। आपको आज समय देने के लिए बहुत बहुत हृदय से धन्यवाद। नमस्कार।
Thank you so much, sir. So now moving forward, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, to listening very carefully and staying with us. Now, moving forward, our session 2, I would like to welcome our topic of the session is sustainable infrastructure policies and planning by the government of India in the budget 2022. The eminent speaker for this session is Mr. Abhishek Agrawal, is going with us to entitle his knowledge. Mr. Agrawal is the Senior Specialist Director for Infrastructure Connectivity at NITI Aayog. He has over 15 years of multiple sectoral and pan-India experience in planning profession. He has been an urban development advisor to Ms. Vasundhara Raje, the ex-Chief Minister of Rajasthan, during his association with UNDP, and work with ILFS and the numerous PPT projects within NITI. He has looking after the Gati Shakti infrastructure, the governance, roads and transportation sector, logistics, urban transport, land value capture and sharing the mechanism. He has also the extensively involved with managing the urbanization and the development monitoring and evaluation of terms of NITI Aayog. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Shweta. Thank you, Deepak Jain sir, for giving me this opportunity, and it was lovely to hear Poddar sir in the last few moments when I could join it. It is always really encouraging to hear words from our member of parliaments who have so much of vision, and the current government is trying to bring all that onto a platform which is going to be used and is going to impact the development in India. So, I'll just share my screen. Today, I'm going to talk about, I hope my screen is visible. Yes. So today I'm going to talk about Gati Shakti and the infrastructure governance initiatives that Government of India is undertaking. So starting. Yeah, is my screen visible?
It's okay, visible, sir.
Yeah. So see, the infrastructure initiatives of the government are essentially in the form of investments. So India has embarked on ambitious infrastructure development targets. You all must have been aware of National Infrastructure Pipeline, which envisages about 111 lakh crores of investment, which is roughly $1.48 trillion that are envisaged to be invested in the next 5 years. Now, 50% of this investment is in the form of regional investments, and roughly another 50% is localized. 17% is urban. What is the most important part is that roughly 32% is directly into transport sector. and another 8% is in the form of urban transport, logistics, and those aspects. Now, out of total 40% of rough investment in the transport sector, about 18 to 20%, these numbers are slightly revised now, about 18 to 20% are actually in the road sector. Now, if you look at this particular chart here, we have more than 27,000 different investment patterns across all the states. So it's not like these investments are spread only in one particular region. They are spread across the states and across different sectors. But again, I'll highlight that infrastructure is one of the priority areas which is seeing investment. So if we look at the say focus on where exactly and how exactly this investment can be most efficiently utilized, then we come on the second concept, which is called the infrastructure governance. Now, if we look at infrastructure governance, world over, it is quite well known that any infrastructure investment, if it is supported by adequate governance measures, then the quality of outcome improves by at least 20 to 30%. Now, traditionally, the Indian infrastructure sector has been plagued with certain challenges in terms of intersectoral coordination, planning challenges, challenges of land acquisition, statutory clearances, resettlement, rehabilitation, lack of project preparedness, and things like that. So for these aspects, one of the initiatives which the government has taken up is Gati Shakti. There are other challenges which are in terms of our investments were not traditionally linked to actual outcomes on the ground. Now, these challenges are being addressed in terms of outcome and output monitoring framework. Inadequate capacities in planning and implementing all these interventions that the government of India is undertaking, that is another big challenge which has recently come up. So I'm not sure whether you all have heard of it or not, but there's a Mission Karm Yogi, which is essentially a capacity building program across the major 9 or 10 infrastructure ministries, which is being undertaken in a very, very large way in the coming days. Another challenge is that we need to invest in the infrastructure today, but we don't get the returns on economic development probably for the next 10 years. So the investment that we are going to make today is going to give us a return over say next 10, 15, 20 years. So how do we finance these infrastructure projects as on day to day? So we have a limited kitty in terms of budget. We have to ensure that public-private participation is there, some sort of monetization of these infrastructure assets is happening, some sort of value capture is happening for these infrastructure projects. So these are also some of the initiatives that the government of India is promoting right now. One extremely important initiative which NHAI has successfully undertaken is a conciliation mechanism. So a lot of past infrastructure projects have seen, legal hassles, legal challenges, legal issues in terms of not only contractors, in terms of concessions, in terms of social impact, in terms of land acquisitions, and many things. So conciliatory mechanisms are increasingly being promoted, wherein out-of-court settlements before they become long pending court cases can be undertaken. All of these, even if we address all of them, there would be some inherent project preparatory and management practices that need to be improved. So we are also promoting the concept of building information modeling as part of these interventions. So today, I'm going to quickly touch on each of these aspects, primarily focusing on Gati Shakti, the National Master Plan. So if we look at the Gati Shakti, the National Master Plan, Honorable Prime Minister Sir launched PM Gati Shakti for multimodal connectivity aspect. So it's essentially a digital platform which will bring 16 different ministries, including railways, roadways, ports, airports, agriculture, logistics, everything together. I can hear some disturbance. I think somebody's mic is on. If they can together into an integrated and coordinated manner. Now, Gati Shakti is primarily having 6 pillars. The first one is comprehensiveness. So it includes all the existing assets and all the ongoing planning initiatives that various ministries have undertaken. To start with, we are having 16 ministries, and over a period of time, it might include more ministries. And each department, for the first time, is going to have live visibility of what other departments' activities are, so that it's completely comprehensive and it can be synchronized with other departments' initiatives. The second one is prioritization. So, as I said, the government has limited access to financial resources. Which project to prioritize first, which sector to prioritize first, which region to prioritize first. All those decision making will be facilitated by this particular platform. The third one is optimization. So again, optimization is we are grossly underutilizing some of our existing assets, whereas we are severely overburdened in terms of usage of some other assets. So which way, whether we need to use rail, road, or waterways in a particular context, whether we need to provide a multimodal logistic park or just a small warehousing facility at which location, how much of our infrastructure is underutilized, how much of it is under stress. All those aspects will be addressed through the optimization part of the Gati Shakti pillar. As I already mentioned, the fourth one is synchronization. So each ministry can now see each other's projects. We can better facilitate, coordinate, plan, implement our projects. We know where to provide rail, which one to provide first, which one to provide second, and those aspects. So you can really have a very well synchronized approach to infrastructure implementation. If we look at the analytical aspects, the entire system is going to be a GIS-based, global information system-based system, which means that we will be able to visualize each and every project on a map. We can zoom in to any level, we can zoom out to any level. This will also be supported by over 350 different layers which are existing today from various different platforms, ministries, which are going to come in, plus over 6,000 information layers from other existing systems like Oman by ISRO, of individual ministries, of NIC, National Informatics Center. Everything will come up into one common platform for facilitating better analysis of each and every project. This will ensure very high quality decision making. And lastly, but not the least, it will all be dynamic and transparent in nature. Dynamic means it's going to be updated real time. All the ministries are going to give their approvals, make their proposals through this system. So that means we have the latest information available, plus it's transparent because most of this information, barring certain decision-making processes, will be available for all the general citizens as well as the investment decisions by private sector. So now the private sector can come up and make really dynamic and up-to-date investment decisions based on where the infrastructure is actually going to come. So we won't have a scenario wherein the private sector investment or economic investment comes and then the infrastructure follows. We are going to have a scenario wherein the infrastructure investment comes and then the private sector investment follows. Now, broadly speaking, this portal is going to look like this. We are going to have certain tools on the left-hand side. We can zoom in at multiple levels. We can see the smallest city, district, village also, and we can have an overview of India as well. These will be certain additional tools. All the different ministries, existing data sets, states who want to share, all the private sector which wants to share, all their existing data sets can be integrated through app-based systems. We will have multiple analytical tools. The entire private sector will have access to these tools of visualizing, planning, regulatory. Regulatory approvals will be, of course, broadly with the basically with the government, but the private sector will also be able to monitor their application or approval processes and things like that. Now, if I come to the next slide, which is a NITI version of how this whole system will eventually look like. So at NITI, we undertook this particular assessment before the system was actually made live from the perspective of how you can plan the entire infrastructure. So if you look at the first image, we'll go clockwise. Then we are looking at the entire agricultural infrastructure that India has as on date today. So the entire agricultural infrastructure, the entire industrial infrastructure, all the logistic parks, warehouses, ICDs, CFS, ports, land custom stations, the entire railway line, the road connectivity, the agricultural patterns, everything is going to be mapped onto one single comprehensive platform. So all these different images are eventually going to look something like this. So this particular image is an abstract of all these above information which can be looked simultaneously at one common platform. What this benefits us is that we can make numerous analysis of this particular information in terms of their interaction with each other, prioritizing certain areas for investments. Probably don't take it that these areas are not going to be invested. This was specifically done for a particular existing infrastructure. Existing infrastructure investments which are there. We can yes.
पिक्चर ना बहुत पागल हो रहा है.
Yeah. We can also track it down to the.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. I request you, all the participants, please kindly mute their speaker, so my speaker can continue comfortably. I request you, all the participants, kindly just mute your speaker.
Thank you, Shweta. We can also zoom into the smallest road. We can see the traffic level there, which can be pulled in from different sources again. We can look at whether our investment is falling within an urban area, outside an urban area. What is the status of land there? What is the pattern of these interactions between, one district and another district and things like that. Eventually, if we want, we can probably do a planning in terms of prioritizing the logistics infrastructure. Just an example in this particular case. So we can locate that if we look here, we have certain areas which are deficient of logistics facilities. So we add new logistics facilities at different locations so that we can have a much better balance and network of the entire logistics system in the country. Now, this is adequately supported by another part, which is information movement of actual logistics, actual contracts, actual transactions that are going to happen on other platforms. Whether we are talking about e-way bills, we are talking about movement of commodities from one port to another port, how much traffic is being handled by which road, how much traffic is being handled by which railway station, and all those things. So all these different informations are going to come together in the form of a unified logistics interface platform. So eventually both ULIP and the Gati Shakti are going to merge to leverage the best of both the platforms. So both these platforms are in quite an advanced level right now. How this will impact? This will greatly impact the logistics efficiency of the entire nation. So currently we are something like 14% of our GDP is being spent only on logistics movement. We expect that this whole intervention together will bring down this amount substantially, probably something around 2% over the next 5 to 10 years, which is a huge savings, which if reinvested will result in large amount of employment generation pan-India. Now, this particular slide indicates that we have certain services components as against the infrastructure hard investment components. Plus, it is multi-sectoral, and we have lots of ministries which are going to be involved. Plus, their counterparts at the state level have a major role to play here. What we have tried to do here, we have tried to map the current status of information from each of these ministries, sectors, departments, states onto different platforms where it is available, and we have all integrated that into one common portal known as Gati Shakti. So Gati Shakti will also be directly reviewed by an empowered group of secretaries, which is going to meet as on date today. They are meeting every 3 months to ensure that the national master plan is in place. It is ably supported by a network planning group of 11 ministries and departments and an expert technical support group which have been hired from the market. They are the best of the best in their respective fields. A team of 21 experts, each looking after a different aspect of Gati Shakti. These experts are adequately further supported by a large team of consultants, young professionals, and respective ministry-based setups for decision making. So this is one of the biggest initiatives in infrastructure governance that has come up. Now, this is adequately backed up with outcome and output monitoring framework. What we had observed at NITI traditionally was that many of our schemes, we were investing a lot of money there, but what not resulting into actual on-ground outcomes and impacts in terms of improvement of life of people, improvement of environment, improvement of economic activities. So since 2017, every single scheme in Government of India has to undergo this particular process, wherein each scheme has to define measurable outcomes which are being monitored regularly. All the ministries are required to update this information regularly. Plus, each of these schemes are appraised and evaluated by a third party at the end of the scheme, towards the end of the scheme period on their actual success, towards the mid of the scheme period to ensure that any course correction if required can be made to continuously strengthen the portfolio of the scheme and ensure that the new scheme which is coming in, which is replacing the scheme or the phase 2 of the scheme, is much more robust than the previous scheme. So this is one of the most important initiatives that NITI has undertaken, and it is having a lot of positive impact on the way Government of India is planning schemes. As I said, asset monetization, financing infrastructure is a major challenge. So asset monetization, or commonly referred to as asset or capital recycling, is a very, very commonly globally used practice. In India, the non-strategic assets are being disposed of, wherein when we talk about disposing of, it's each ministry, each sector has some core activities on which the government should focus on. All other activities are virtually non-core and are essentially reducing the efficiency of governance if we keep focusing on those non-core activities. So some of those non-core activities can be easily given away to the private sector for operation, maintenance, or whatever investment purposes. The existing assets can be monetized so that you have some amount of money which is readily available from these existing assets, which can be further utilized for creating new assets as well as maintaining the existing assets. So the maintenance operations and the new infrastructure generation can be financed based on what existing assets we already have. So this is again a very important focus of Government of India. We have identified a national monetization pipeline of roughly 20 lakh crores, which needs to be monetized within the next 3 years. And we are happy to share that most of the targets are on time, in line with NHI leading the way, power sector leading the way in these particular cases again. Another aspect is the PPP version. Now, the financing capacity needs to be increased. First of all, the government has taken a decision that, considering the cost and time overruns that we have seen in the past projects, ideally, no new project should be taken up on item rate, material rate, or direct contract rate basis. MoD started this process, and now most of the other ministries are following it up. Now, all the projects are bare minimum being undertaken on EPC basis. Now, EPC basis still means that if you have 100 rupees and you can take up 10 projects, then you can take up just 10 projects for those 100 rupees. There are other approaches which are basically hybrid annuity model or annuity model, wherein you can actually undertake 25 projects for the same amount of 100 rupees. And with the amount saved or the amount accrued over the next, say, 5 years, 6 years, you can do another additional 5 projects. So if in a traditional scenario you were undertaking 10 or 12 projects, now you can actually undertake 30 more projects for the same amount of money. So this will speed up the process of investing into infrastructure. This will speed up the process of delivery of infrastructure. This is even better when the private sector can come in and directly invest in these projects. Now, there is a slight difference. Now, in annuity and HAM, it's not necessary to toll or create a revenue stream from that project. The government can finance it from the budget itself. But when we want the private sector to directly come in and invest in the project so that even a larger number of projects can be undertaken, then we need to give the private sector some incentive to recover their investment, which is essentially in the form of tolls or revenues. Now, these investments, getting the private sector on board, it's extremely important that most of these opportunities or interventions are backed with technological interventions. So, for example, in case of NHAI, what we have done is we already have a large repository of toll data now available at NHAI. So all new projects are increasingly utilizing the past database, leveraging artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and IT analytics technologies for improving our forecasts for future. We are also extensively leveraging GIS. Again, Gati Shakti is going to play a major role here. For improving the project preparedness, we are also ensuring that latest technologies like LiDAR, drone are being utilized, especially in difficult terrains. So, for example, all the Northeast India and all the Himalayan state projects in India are now mandatorily utilizing LiDAR and drone-based surveys while we are actually preparing for the project delivery. Again, we are also utilizing technologies like network survey vehicles, falling weight deflectometers. We are ensuring material recycling, fly ash use, geosynthetic use, plastic use, nano coating use technologies, especially for the road sector, to ensure that the roads that we are creating are resilient. They are going to last longer than what they used to last earlier. The land acquisition process has been greatly enhanced by using completely transparent online GIS-based system called Bhumi Rashi. The entire asset management is again available on the click of a mouse on GIS-based existing asset management, operation and management monitoring system. And this is again going to be integrated back into the Gati Shakti system. Now, what this is going to give us is benefit in terms of a disaster resilient framework. What we have noticed that India is particularly prone to a lot of catastrophes and risks, whether we talk about flooding, we talk about extreme rainfall events or cyclones or earthquakes, or even in certain cases, forest fires or dry areas. Now, infrastructure becomes inaccessible. The impact on females and marginalized groups is excessively seen in case of any disaster event. So what we want to ensure is that the vulnerable and marginalized communities are also integrated into the mainstream. All our infrastructure is completely resilient as far as possible so that we are not wasting money in terms of building, rebuilding that infrastructure, and we are utilizing that same money for creating new infrastructure and new economic opportunities. So infrastructure resilience is another extremely important part of the government initiatives. Land value capturing and sharing mechanisms. We need to understand that globally 86% of the entire capital of the world is essentially vested in terms of lands and buildings. If we look at India, entire India, less than 4% of the area is where we are actually constructing anything. Now, when I say constructing anything, everything else is natural or agricultural. So within this 4%, we have all the roads, all the railway lines, all the houses, all the industrial areas. Every single constructed facility in the country is within this 4%. Now, of this 4%, less than 1.2% is within urban boundaries. Imagine the value which is available in these areas. It needs to be unlocked. Whenever we lay a railway line, we lay a road network or any facility, any infrastructure comes up, the surrounding land values just rise. So what we have seen is that some people, they have windfall gains. Some people, they end up losing on the opportunity of, these costs. At the same time, if you're going to get some economic output out of this infrastructure, this investment from these land parcels, it's primarily going to be in terms of the urban local body or the state which is going to be benefited out of it. But the investment in most terms is going to be from the center. So it is extremely important to understand how this land value can be captured, how much is reasonable to be captured, how it can be collected, which particular agency can collect it, and how it can be shared, whether it is between an urban local body or a panchayat with state government, or a state government or a panchayat with the central government or any other development agency. So this needs to be understood. Another extremely important aspect is, in India, construction sector is the least digitized sector. What this leads to is that 1 in 5 days is lost in terms of just to search for information. And this loss of information is manifesting itself in the 4 stages of a typical project life cycle, which is a design stage. We create some information. Then when we award the project, we almost completely lose that information. So we others again start creating that information. And when the commissioning of project is completed, we lose another substantial chunk of information. So this cycle continues, and the end result is that the end of the life of the project, most of the information is entirely lost. Now, there is a concept called building information modeling. What this ensures is that the information generated once remains in the system in a framework. Plus, all the multiple stakeholders, they come and interact together. They get the right information at the right time, in the right quantity, in the right amount, at the click of a mouse, but for a specific project. And when you retain this particular information, the value that each project generates is much higher. We can see the value difference at the end of the project life is much higher. So if I want to undertake a second phase of the project, I will next time start from this point instead of starting from somewhere here. So this is a major intervention that we are coming up with. This intervention, as I said, is spanned across the planning of a project, designing a project, constructing a project, and operating and maintaining it, and is expected to impact the benefit in terms of 9% of, 1 in 5 days is going to be saved, which means 20% of cost and time savings of infrastructure project is going to be saved. If we look at the share of construction projects in GDP, they account for roughly 9 to 10% of India's GDP. So we are effectively talking about 2% of cost and time savings. If we reinvest this amount into infrastructure and construction again, we are possibly generating 25 lakh jobs based on this amount which is going to be saved. The best part is this concept is software agnostic, which means if one company is already using one software, they can continue to use that same software and they need not go and purchase an entirely new software. Although there will be certain marginal cost increments which will be required to adopt their existing software to pull that information and feed into the common framework. But I think at least for the major projects, we can start utilizing that particular process. For an example, all the new metro projects, all the new airport projects are extensively implementing this particular system already. And we intend to promote this particular system into all other sectors and ministries as well. These are some of the major initiatives that the government of India has undertaken, is undertaking, and is widely promoting pan-India, pan-sectors for improving the investments in India. Thank you. I'll pause my sharing.
Thank you so much, sir. So thank you so much for sharing your words of wisdom and the policies about the government of India. Also, the government of India also taking initiatives about the infrastructure sector, especially the Gati Shakti Yojana. Thank you so much. So, sir, I think there is some. If you have a 5 minute, I know you have another important meeting in the next 15 minutes. So one question is from my audience. If you can just clear his. Is Mr. Suresh Chandra Tripathi. We will be integrated with IBMS for NHAI, which gives details of the bridges on highways.
Yes, absolutely. So all the initiatives which I said, as I mentioned, are not going to result in discontinuation of existing systems. All your existing systems will directly feed into this Gati Shakti, BIMS platform, output outcome monitoring framework. So all this information will be app-based, pulled out into the common system. And we are also developing a facility wherein you can resend this processed information back into individual ministry system. So it's not like we are removing the existing systems. The existing systems interface, they very much remain there. It's just enhanced a step further with our initiatives.
Thank you so much, sir. I think Mr. Tripathi, you got your answer. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So moving forward, our same on session, the next speaker for today is Dr. Ajay Kumar, is the chairman, the manager director of the Fox Capital and Investment Limited Australia, Fox Rubicon Capital Partner Brazil, and South Africa MMC Capital, a unit of Fox Petroleum Group. He has more than 21-year experience of business sector and was in the 5 continents and remain the low profile and does not believe in the brand as he is himself a brand of so many. Dr. Kumar is going to talk us about the challenges and the opportunities when the funding and the financing the major transport infrastructure project. Till then, he's preparing his speech, and then the activities, we can watch the activity of his companies. Please spare some moment with us. Welcome, sir.
Fox Petroleum, delivering energy to the nations. From the time you get up until you go to bed, it's difficult to find a moment when you haven't used energy. Petroleum is not for solace, it's a light for life. We are not just a company fueling the world. We are a company that partner up with the nations in inclusive and sustainable growth programs. Our presence in 5 continents and 30-plus countries has enabled us to support global energy needs responsibly. We are not resting on our laurels and are constantly working to provide better, cleaner, safer, and affordable energy. $12.5 billion positive current valuation. 20-plus years experience in the industry. 10-plus years assured employment in future. $1.5 billion minimum increase in annual turnover. 100% success rate of undertaken projects. We are one of the largest diversified and integrated energy major. We are an energy major focusing on oil and gas, power plants, intercontinental gas pipelines. In real estate, we are into building international airports, shipyards, ports, bridges, roads, hospitals, film cities, golf courses, and casinos. Producers and distributors of motion pictures. Our current projects, valued at $24 billion. 2 oil refinery projects in Africa and the Middle East, valued at $8 billion. India's first and Asia's biggest FSRU in development at Karwar, Karnataka, in association with Government of India, valued at $2 billion. Oman to India multi-purpose deep water gas highway, valued at $5.6 billion. Investments across renewable energy, technology, and banking sectors in India are valued at $960 million. We have recently added 2 big giants to our ensemble. Rubicon Capital Partners, which is now Fox Rubicon Capital Partners, Brazilian-based asset management holding providing strategic services. Fox Capital Investment, capital finance and advisory holding with presence in Australia, London, and soon in India. We are moving forward with a strong vision to make the world no dark zone. Born out of our vision was an idea to build a deep water gas pipeline from Oman to India. Not having a way to get the oil from where it was produced is the major challenge. We intend to create strong storage and transportation infrastructures to make India energy efficient. The Oman-India pipeline has the potential to carry petroleum products and make energy accessible across the country. It's proven for ages that pipeline transport is safer, more efficient, and creates fewer GHG emissions than a ship, truck, or train. Running about 1,600 kilometers along the seabed of the Arabian Sea. The pipeline is capable of transporting around 8 trillion cubic feet of natural gas to India for 20 years. The pipeline is expected to make landfall at Ras Al Jafan in Oman. Plunging to a maximum of 3,400 meters, it will connect on the Gujarat coast. In the second phase, the pipeline will be extended to Mumbai. The project is estimated to be completed in 5 years, resulting in 100,000 LNG gas stations across Pan-India, connecting every highway, and will generate jobs for about 800,000 people, making India future-ready. High-caliber people, energy innovation, strong passion, futuristic research and development, world-class technologies and infrastructure. Our integrated business model and our geographic roots has enabled us to walk the talk. We are always on the verge of exploiting profitable growth opportunities to give back to society and the environment. Fox Petroleum India has grown from strength to strength under the leadership of Dr. Ajay Kumar, PhD, Chairman and Managing Director, and with a forward-thinking team that is always ready to go beyond. We are all set for a never-ending journey to ignite the world. As such, our promise remains the same: being innovative, caring, reliable, and a responsible energy major.
Now, I would like to invite Dr. Ajay Kumar to discuss this formal audience. So, welcome, sir. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir, you can continue.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you so much. Shweta, can I start?
Yes, sir, please start.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and my friends and my partners, colleagues, and the FII team, and Honorable Director General Mr. Deepak Jain, who is the FII Director General, is holding here. Thank you for arranging such kind of summit. It's a complex one. Nobody tries to do so. It's a good one. It's good one. It's good initiative. Your idea has been at least. I'm appreciating the idea which you have flaunted it right now. Having said that, I don't see. I have too much ideas about uh, roads and infrastructure since I have started my driving the car in 1992 when I was only 14 years old. Father has a car that time, so I know how much car was on at that time on the road and what was the road, a single road in India everywhere. So I know the too much. Now it is different. It is the government who made us proud. It is the industrialists, the contractors, the companies. They have made us proud. They've given us a luxury. They have given us the luxury. So let me start with what in 7 or 8 years with this government has done so far. It is not that I am not going to criticize any government. The past government has also made so many roads, but this government has made a little bit better. So what my knowledge is, then I'll come to the economics point on it. The roads and highway sectors has recovered from the pandemic, blew fast, much faster than anticipated, and the fastest within the transport infrastructure space. To prove the statement, you can see the toll collections, which is due to the fast tags. In addition, the two key performance indicators of highway sector performance, length of the road projects awarded in these 7 years, it has been huge. Almost, I say, learn from the news and listen to the people. They say almost 35 kilometers. Somebody says 48 kilometers. But average 35 kilometers per day road construction is a good amount of road for the people. That is good. All these positive parameters are results of strong government trust and private sector interest in to invest. It is not without the investment. The private is taking very much interest to invest, and it is a positive sign. And it is due to, like, see, you cannot go in flip and flop. All the governments have, since last 28 years, India has got a stable government. So it is giving a good trust to the investors to invest in India and invest more in India. On the other hand, a new initiative like under this Bharat Mala Pariyojana, I'm very happy. The government has a plan for development of greenfield expressways to increase freight and passenger speeds and logistics efficiency between major economic centers. It will cut down the inflations. It will cut down the inflations. The Nahai has proposed construction of 23 new access controlled highway expressways, which are expected to be operational by 2025. And I see it as a major boost. This is going to happen. That means all the cities, major cities, are in connections. It is going to lead in a different way. More economic power to India, more control on the inflations. It cuts inflation. So whenever $1 of crude oil prices comes up, the people, people fear. There will be transportation charge. That is, when there is a good road, there is no transportation charge as increased as it will increase by 10 paisa or 5 paisa or 2 paisa. So it is not going to hurt the economy in that sense, which were in costing in before 92 or before 95 or before 2000. This is going to be a very good one. For me, speed and accuracy saves time. The time is money. The new expressways are being designed with a goal minimizing the road lengths between major cities, thus reducing travel time and cost. The expressways will be completely access controlled to ensure unhindered flow of traffic. Superior technical safety standards has been followed. New expressways allow speeds, and that has allowed a speed up to 120 kilometers. I have driven somewhere because I belong to the land of Chanakya, the Bihari. I'm a Bihari. So I have driven sometimes to my Nani's home in Kanpur and other states. So these are the things which has given very good significant value to the government. That if I have to go earlier, I used to go in 6.5 hours to see my maternal grandmother. From 2000, I'm staying in Delhi. So I used to go to see my mother 6.5 hours. It is now 4.5 hours. It's quite 2 hours time saving. It's good for me, good for everyone. To smoothen the journey, they have gone with a different thing also. Like WSAs, the word is new for some of the people here. It is a wayside amenities, will include like facilities such as fuel stations are too much, restaurants are too much, short-term accommodation and washrooms, and both passengers and truckers has too much. The new expressways can have EV charging stations also. I've heard from those people. That in the future, that will be a set of free facilities such as drinking water. It has been a challenge. You have to buy mineral waters. I'm seeing some of the people can buy, can afford to drink directly from there. That was a good thing to see. That was really good thing to see. I've not seen in 95. I've not seen in 98 when I was in college. I've not seen in coming out from the college until 2012. I have not seen it. Now I'm seeing it. I can drink directly. That means the water qualities has been improved. The emergency telephone services have been pasted on the highways. You can see this is good things. Parking is available before the restaurants and hotels. So this is my knowledge about and so far I know has I never more than from the government side. 600 new sites for WSS across 23 states in India, spanning more than 3,000 hectares, has been identified. The proposed WSS will increase your satisfaction and also generate widespread employment opportunities for the potential investors, developers, restaurateurs, local farmers, village along the corridors and expressway. The sites would also include local to vocal, the local hut bazaar, the local market. They can come on to the highways with their own ethnic things, and they can sell it. They can make a market to their local foods like fruit for handicrafts, handlooms. Additionally, under its vision to improve ease of doing business from the government side in the sector, the government has introduced various investor-friendly changes in the MCA for the development of highways under the PPP mode. These new involvement, the contractual structures for the PPP project development, such as BOT, very largely heard in India, is built, operate, and transfer. TOT and HAM will be instrumental in attracting private sector interest and realizing the full potential of the above mentioned initiatives, which is the government is taking up. And I'm thankful to the government for these all measures. It is good to see. Further, the growing use of advanced technologies such as drone survey recording, network survey vehicles, NSVs, and LIDAR. LIDAR is a good way to construct a road. Light detection and ranging for designing and surveys will only catalyst India's vision of establishing first world infrastructure, like what we have seen in Europe, in London, in America. That camera photography of somebody's driving speed, somebody's in trouble, somebody's not in a good state on the highway. The government will help you, and that kind of thing can come up with the LIDAR system. Like in Dubai, we used to see a road is controlled by radar. So these are the things that government is trying to implement. Having said that, whatever the plan needs, plan of the government is, it needs more money. What is holding back infrastructure investments, even though the real long-term, I'm saying the real long-term interest rates are low and finances are easily available. So why they are not doing it? What is the problem? I see it in a different way. The answer matters to the policymakers. It is not with the, you can't blame the contractors, the companies who are coming for these kind of huge infrastructure, which is risky. In financial term, these infrastructures are risky to invest, but they are coming up. So what holds them back? Because determine the growth potential of an economy. It is also implicated to the job is there. Unorganized sector job is there. I can see some key obstacles for better and greater infrastructure finances management. One such obstacle is the lack of investable projects. The government is not deciding which road to be decided first, and which road to be decided by their own money, and which road to be given to the for the public investments. This has been a problem by the government side, the policymakers. It is not the problem of the investors. Often projects are not properly designed, and contractual arrangements imply a distribution and of risk, like returns, like some of the private investors, they want a security. The government has to legalize those things. Like sometimes the government changes in the state government and they make toll free. They come up with the traces the tolls, and they come the legal vandalization, like the party people comes up. They hinder 2 days, 3 days, like Kisan Andolan. They were upselling free roads, free transport. It is hampering not the government, it is hampering the investor and the contractor who made this road, build and operate. So these things has to be legally construed. If these things has not been illegally construed, it is going to give more fear into the investors. Understanding the economics of a project and unique challenges involved in finance is relevant to addressing these problems. This requires valuable private investor involvement in the social aspects, like investors must dedicate returns. That has not been guaranteed by the government. It's a risky. They are taking the risk. Must be taken in consideration before awarding the contracts. But because, I repeat, but because and consequently positive financial value after many years. This is the drawback. But investor still comes. That is the credit of the government. This is a valuable thing. People should understand this is not a one-day program. They're making it for them, and the government is not giving any kind of so much good support to them. Despite all the good things and bad things, long prospects of return, what makes infrastructure special and its financing difficult. I'll speak to it now. Coming to my topic, which is Shweta has given me to speak. A few common economic characteristics differentiate infrastructure assets from other asset classes. These characteristics also make it very more difficult to match investments, demand and financing supply. It lacks three kind of stages where even though the direct payoffs to an owner of an infrastructure project may not cover its costs, the indirect externalities can still be highly beneficial for the economy as a whole and politically as a whole. Externalities include large benefits of infrastructure services to wide range of other sectors, like you can say the job to unorganized sector peoples. Such benefits are fundamentally difficult to measure. Even if they can be measured, charging for them may not be feasible or desirable. And it is politically doesn't suit to anyone, not any government, since inception of the government of India. So you have to be very crucial in taking this such kind of decision. The secondly is infrastructure projects are often complex and involve a large number of parties. Infrastructure often comprises natural monopolies. In case of highways is more. That requires complex legal arrangements to ensure proper distribution of payoffs and risk sharing to align the incentives of all parties involved. But any measures needed to restrict monopoly power must still ensure that the government respects pre-agreed contracts to contractors, to investors, those who are backing the contractors, because the parties changes, the government changes, sometimes political scenario changes in India. So you have to be very cautious of to the investors, not the contractors. They're the brave people in India, those who are building infrastructures. I salute them like I salute the people, those who are fighting on borders, the Indian Army, because the challenge is more. They have got less guarantees to play off. They have to invest a long term, and then the return is layoff from 20 years, 15, 20 years. So nobody, everybody wants in a night return, but they are taking the risk. And this is very good thing in India, that they are nationalists, they are patriots, those who are working on roads in infrastructure subjects. I salute them. I really appreciate them. Now coming to the third one, many infrastructure, generates flows, on the long term. Private investment comes only when there is a lack of stage. Like, you cannot, the government doesn't invite you under ECB norms, FDI norms so easily. This is also lack. The banks sees contractors like they hate, see, not the original contractors, those who went boarded 100-kilometer route, 500-kilometer, 600-kilometer routes. One of my friend Srinivas, who used to give me a little list. So these are the roads construction coming up in Maharashtra, 22 and almost 90,000 crore rupees. Will you come it in it? So I said, we are not eligible. We'll fund them up if somebody gets it. So these kind of things has happened, but still, the banks is not supporting in a way that has to be supported. The government of India and the FII, that Mr. Deepak Jain, the director, can help them out because he is the voice of the government. FII is not an alone company. It's not a company. It is the voice of the government. So FII can lead to the PMO that to see once who has been awarded the contract, that means he's going to receive the money from the government. So initial working out capital should be made, and later on he can have the fundings from foreign resources, Indian other resources, even the Lala kind of money which the people gives on 5% interest. That is, I feel it is an extortion. We give landing money and hardly 4.5% to 6%. We don't give money on 5% per month. So the contractors who are taking money at the 5% per month to secure the job is really a crucial time. And I'm thinking, my thinking is, in a year, he has to earn 60% return to pay off to the Lala investor. It is better the banks should come up and they should charge the interest per month, not the EMI per month of the total loan. This has been a drawback from the government side. It is not the drawback of those contractors. They are used to it since inception of the government of India. So the new government is very proactive, decisive, and friendly. And I think FII, the Deepak Jain sir, can say that the government should take the interest per month, not the EMI of the total amount per month. EMI makes big, huge money. So he should not take that much amount. And then after receiving the full and final amount in 5 years or 6 years, on the completion of the project, they can have the money. So these kind of things has to be addressed by these people. Now coming to main topic again, despite these all if and buts, road and highway infrastructure is therefore a special, although the infrastructure investment are potentially hugely profitable for the economy as a whole and politically very creative. Still, they are especially subject to market failures, the credit ratings. This is also it. The CBIL kind of thing. The CBIL is a government body or somebody who designs your ratings or S&P and all these. Who are they? They are none of these people, those who can cloud your fundings. I object those people. The government of India must take initiative. Those who has got the credentials, loan has been given on the collateral. I give the loan to the people, many people. I have given a lot of people to the loan, only based on the collaterals. The collateral are secured. What is the image of CBIL? CBIL is a nonsense organization, to be honest, and banks should not comply with CBIL. For the contractors, they are taking the risk for a long term. And I request again, Director General Deepak Jain sir, who is very good with the PMO, and the Prime Minister is a good friend of the Prime Minister. We are not eligible to go to the Prime Minister. I'm not a good friend of the Prime Minister, but I love him too much only. So he should go and say, this is happening. If the collateral is sound, give the money. Bank should give the money. Why to write an NPA when he is giving? Like, let's say, for example, I have got a car and I'm not able to pay after that. I have paid 3 years, and after that, there is no point that I'm not able to give I have surrendered the car, 3 years installment, and the car you have taken. How the bank writes NPA, and why the CBIL is wrong to the contractors. This should not happen. With the technical equipments also, equipment purchase should be made easy. The bulldozers, the cranes, the shovel machines, this should be made easy. This is not been made easy. You have, the government has a good plan. The Niti Aayog, one of the brain of the government of India, still has not been used solely and 100%. Still not been used. As a result, road infrastructure investment from the private sector in many cases cannot be realized without some of the form of the public support or the government support. This may take the form of kind of financial different kind of arrangements. Construction companies, there is a group of construction companies, operators, government authorities, private investors, insurers, and the citizens when the government is buying the land. So a lot of people are involved. So government has to take it a more vibrant approach to it. And I know Prime Minister Modi is one of the best, finest man on the earth right now, who takes the challenges and gives the solution. He doesn't say, always going, he doesn't give you suggestion, another suggestion, and then another suggestion. He gives solutions. So I feel the industry should go to the India government, and India government must, reciprocate to these problems. And Niti Aayog should be used purposely, fully, and soundly, with more money to be there to them, so that they can make more research, data analysis, so that the foreign investors, the pension funds, the other funds, FDIs, EPF, should come directly invest and make joint hands with the capital, with local contractors. Even those who are having a contract job of 5 kilometers, they should be appreciated. Subcontract, because the bigger the country holds, with the logic of bigger contractors, they are getting bigger jobs. So what happens is the small contractors are not getting such a place. They do what? They kill their own self to survive. So in that case, the bank should come up. The government has given a lot of money to the banks, even formalized it. The bank managers are holding it, not the chairman, like in any bank. The bank managers are holding in such a way that the post 10 kilometer contractor is not able to perform. If he is not able to perform, whom you are going to give the status of MSME or SME or what kind of? Then the government needs to talk to the bank. Bank needs to perform, and bank needs to perform with a small criteria that he has backed with the contractor who has given the subcontract. The money will follow. They can take another corporate guarantees, like if he has got a 10 crore rupees contract, he should be backed by a 10 crore rupees income tax assessee who is having it, or the board of directors who has got 10 crore rupees income tax SSE. He guarantees it. What is the problem in that? Why the bank is not coming up? Bank is back, and moreover, if it is some of the case, the bank, contract gets default. Why to write NPA? Because you are having the money. You have the contract, guarantees. For banks are in hell. There is no need. There is no need. Why blaming government of India for everything? This is what is happening. Everybody is blaming government of India. Rather than government of India at this moment is
Dr. Ajay, your point is very well taken.
Thank you so much.
Don't worry, we will speak to you in another session, private, one-to-one.
I think my time is over. Can I have 2 minutes to thank to my people?
Don't worry, we will speak to you in private.
So no problem. I have 2 minutes time to speak to my people, or my session is over.
That Shweta has to tell us.
You can just say thanks to all the colleagues and the participants who are here.
Yeah, if you don't have time, thank you everyone. And it has been wonderful experience. Invest in India. India is a good country, and government is good, and they are taking care of the investments. It is secured. It is very much appreciated. And thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much sharing your words of wisdom and your views with all the participants.
I have a lot of things to say, but it's economics part, and people will sleep. That is why I didn't say it in that sense. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. God bless you. Jai Hind.
So now I would like to invite Shri Atul Gupta sir. He's a member of FII. So I request you, sir, please say thanks to our session's speaker.
You forgot the vote of thanks has to be conveyed by Shri Arun Bansal.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I just got a message through Bansal sir. He's advisor of FII. He has some very important meeting in other Zoom meeting. So he really messaged us. I think he dropped the message also same on a Zoom. So he has to leave for some moments on that. So now I would like to invite Sri Atul Gupta sir.
Thank you, Shweta ji. And at the outset, we convey on behalf of the Federation of Indian Industry a special thanks and gratitude to Dr. Ajay Kumar ji for giving his valuable insight on the aspect related thereto. And the way that he was speaking, I just attended his session, and that actually the energy and I will say the fire in the belly we can all witness that what all best we can do and how best we can do. And as rightly mentioned by Deepak ji, that a lot of things are there wherein we can take the advantage of the wisdom the Ajay ji you carry with you. And I believe that the Federation will feel immensely benefited with the discussion, having a discussion with you in the times to come. So with this, we convey our sincere thanks to Dr. Ajay Kumar for his wonderful deliberation. Thank you, Ajay ji. And we always solicit that whenever there will be a next time request to you, you please spare your valuable time to participate in the events organized by the Federation.
Thank you.
With this, friends, we will move to the next session. And in the next session, we have the distinguished colleague, Mr. Atul Kulkarni. By chance, my name and his name is same. So it's a Atul Square, which will be handling this session. And I can see that the valuable insight with the experience Atulji carrying with him will be very useful. Friends, you are all aware that as rightly discussed by Dr. Ajay Kumar ji and the other colleagues as well, that the transportation, road transportation, the infrastructure is actually is like a soul and the blood in the, like the soul and blood works in the human body. It's a basic necessity for the growth engine, which we all are aspiring, whether it's a 5 trillion economy or a 10 trillion economy in the times to come. And when we speak about the infrastructure and specifically the road transport, there are a number of things we can discuss upon. There are the ecosystem wherein it's very, very important, the stability of the policy, the taxation system, the other benefits which is available to this sector which is, I believe that the Atulji will be sharing upon. The one aspect which very, very important that I believe that Atulji will be discussing today is about the sustainability part. That not only when we are constructing, developing the infrastructure, that we have to ensure that we are contributing or we are not damaging so much to the ecosystem, the environment. As recently I was reading in a newspaper that today the Gurgaon has a lot of bad air because of the recent construction going on from Sona Road, this Rajiv Chowk to the Sona. And because of that, we feel that, okay, maybe the next few years, there will be challenges. Same way, so not only at the time of construction, but also how this road infrastructure will be able to contribute in the sustainable development goals in the ESG, that is environment, social and governance. That's, I believe, will be a core topic of the discussion by Atul Kulkarni ji. I can see that the ecosystem which we talk about, how it is conducive for the times to come for the e-vehicles, how it will be conducive for the purpose of the environment friendly, how it will help the society to achieve the target. So as you are aware that the COP26, the India has given a commitment by 2050 and 2070, we will be a net zero kind of and in that particular scenario, so whatever we are doing, whenever we are doing it, we have to see that it should have an impact approach. So Atulji, I wish that in the times to come, the government of India, like environmental impact assessment is happening or the social impact assessment is happening, it will be more integrated with every action. So whether today we are organizing a program through the webinar, it should have an impact assessment that, okay, so how it will be creating the conducive environment for the ESG vis-a-vis the sustainability, vis-a-vis the overall environmental aspect. So I will not take much of your time because you have a very short time and I am taking more time from your time only. So I will immediately request you, Atulji, to address our address the August gathering. And I believe that your session, not only today, but also on the YouTube and other channels when it will be telecasted, will be viewed by the thousands of the different, I will say the colleagues from the different sector of the economy. Over to you, Atulji.
One minute, Atulji, 1 minute. I will like to make 2 minutes of yours. Let me first introduce Shri Atul Gupta ji. CA Atul Gupta ji is the chairperson of FII GST committee. He is also the former president of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and he is one of the foremost authorities on GST in India. And he is also well connected on the global platforms on several levels. And he has 15 years plus experience in this industry, legal services industry. And secondly, Atul Kulkarni Sahab is a good friend of mine for last so many years. At the moment, he is the best expert on Northeast India, whether it is the roads or it is the MSME or it is the micro industry in Northeast. There is no match to Atulji. Whenever I call him, his dial tone, the ringtone is somewhat different because he's always traveling to Northeast. And Atulji has been advisor to Nitin Gadkari Saab. He has been expert on the shipping side also. He has been advisor to most of the shipping companies. And it's a pleasure for us to have him on this panel today. Over to Atulji. Thank you very much.
Namaste. Namaste. So, namaste to everyone. Am I audible?
Sir, you're audible.
Okay. Yes. Good afternoon to all of you from the gateway to the Northeast. I am speaking to you from Guwahati. Okay. Thank you, Deepak ji, for that introduction, and always see you in action for the cause of MSME and industry at large. My thanks to Chartered Accountant and my friend Atul Gupta ji. It's been great times for us in the Northeast. And as I said, I am speaking to you from Guwahati today. PM Gati Shakti has been the focus of this year's budget. And obviously, when we are talking about infrastructure and the implications of budget 2022 on infrastructure, we cannot leave aside PM Gati Shakti. PM Gati Shakti is one initiative wherein we all know that 16 departments or the verticals or the ministries of Government of India will be working together in coordination with each other to ensure that we get the desired outcome and the result of the infrastructure projects that we are talking about. I have personally worked on various infrastructure projects, both in government and in private sector domain, and have been, I would say, at the receiving end when we see that there is no coordination or lack of coordination between various agencies of the Government of India, one arm or the other. Like, for example, I was CEO of a private seaport and a ship repair facility. And being the private sector player, we could finish the construction and start the commercial operations in less than 4 years after we signed the concession agreement with the government. But while we were ready and we started our commercial operations, the rail connectivity did not reach us. So obviously the 1,000 crores investment we made in the project had to suffer because of that. And as you know, that the seaport cannot survive, or rather seaport cannot be efficient if there is no rail connectivity. However, good road connectivity you may have, but the cargo in and out of seaport cannot be handled only by the road. Or the point that Atulji you mentioned about the social sustainable development part of it. I mean, cargo can be handled more efficiently and more in sustainable manner if we have the rail connectivity, because that's the volume of cargo that we want to handle. So I think this is a very good move of PM Gati Shakti, wherein all these ministries will be communicating, coordinating, and implementing the projects together. We all know that the budgetary provisions for the infrastructure projects or infrastructure sector per se has gone up by almost 35%, from 5.5 lakh crores to 7.5 lakh crores. I mean, it's not just the number game, but I think somewhere the theory of big push is also working here. And that big push is in terms of the scale, the sheer scale of the infrastructure sector that we are talking about, be it the railways, the roads, the airports, the mass transport system in various cities of the country, which is practically the metro network, if I have to make it more specific. But at the same time, we are also talking about water taxis, which I think is a new thing for Indian infrastructure, for Indian transportation sector. The water taxis coming into the operations big time. The Mumbai water taxi has just started, and I'm sure some of the other locations will also have water taxis coming up very soon. So I think this whole theory of big push, as I said, is probably going to be the future for next, I would say, at least a decade for the Indian infrastructure ecosystem to work around. So whether it is the length of the national highways of say 25,000 kilometers of national highways, or various multimodal transportation hubs. We have seen one hub coming up at Varanasi, and then there is another one which is almost ready at Sahibganj. But there are 4 more multimodal transport hubs that are coming up. And these multimodal transport hubs are not just the change of mode, but they are actually the places where you will also see a lot of consolidation, packing, unpacking, distribution, redistribution, etc. happening. So it is not just the modal shift that we are looking at. We are looking at even some of these activities associated with it. Let's also not forget the new concept that is coming up, which is an extension of hub and spoke transportation model in the country, or the hub and spoke logistics model. That is the new concept that is coming up, is urban infrastructure and urban logistics. We are seeing urbanization happening big time in our country, and most of these cities, either the tier 1 city or the metro cities to tier 2, tier 3 cities, I think we are now looking at the infrastructure and the logistics of these cities as well as an opportunity, and of course to ensure that the efficient logistics framework is created in the country. We are looking at cargo parks along the national highways. We are looking at medical infrastructure. The projects such as Sagarmala and Bharatmala are obviously all there for us to see and participate. The inland waterways, which is again going to transform the landscape of the emerging region, which is the Northeast India. I'm sure some of you have noticed that very recently one ship moved from the Ganges, entered Bangladesh, and from Bangladesh it moved up the river Brahmaputra and ended up delivering cargo at Guwahati. So we are now going to see this kind of movement of cargo, which Atulji is definitely environment friendly, helping in reduction of carbon emissions. Because imagine 40,000 tons of rice moving into the state of Mizoram from Telangana right now, which is moving by road, and you have hundreds and thousands of trucks moving into this region. Suddenly you will see that this movement starts with railways, and we all must have also noticed that yesterday the Indian Railways network has moved deeper into Manipur, and the trial run has been conducted on Jiribam Imphal Railway also. And by the end of this year, we will see railway moving into Manipur. Mizoram railway network is coming up. By the year 2025, we will have even Mizoram getting cargo movement through rail connection. So we can imagine, the kind of transformation that we are seeing. And therefore, it is not just talking about the mega projects or the projects in the pipeline or the national infrastructure pipeline, as we all call. I think it is going to transform the economy. This region, I am referring to this region precisely because this is the sunrise area. This is the region where there are plenty of opportunities, and opportunities across the board, opportunities for infrastructure players, those who are involved in creating infrastructure, brick and mortar, people who are into building the human resource that is required for all these major infrastructure projects, and also subsequently for maintenance of these projects, of these facilities, the assets that we are creating. Because remember, it is not just creating the 4-lane road highways across the country, it is also maintaining them in the best possible green, under the green norms. Like the Honorable Minister has talked about creating green highways, having the medians properly maintained through green corridors, etc., so that the carbon emissions, whatever emissions that we have, can be absorbed by different kinds of the plantation that we can make around these. So I think these are some of the initiatives that we are looking at. And let me be very honest with you that there are very few players who understand the science and also the technology behind. So it is time for all of us to look at opportunities that are emerging here, building up the infrastructure, maintaining those assets, building the human resource. And therefore, while we are doing all of this, financing is an important and very, very critical segment. Financing of these infrastructure projects, the earlier speaker, Dr. Ajay Kumar, talked about it. I need not repeat those things. Many of you are players in this, and therefore you know the kind of challenges that we have, the kind of, I will not use the word stepmotherly treatment, but when it comes to infrastructure projects, there is definitely a certain amount of skepticism or some kind of reluctance from the lenders when it comes to the startups, when it comes to the young organizations. I have gone through various examples of how people have faced challenges when it comes to the startups in the infrastructure domain. The young engineers, the people who have been in this domain as employees wanting to become the startups have huge challenge to justify their competence, to justify that they are in a position to complete those projects on time is a huge challenge, especially when it comes to difficult terrains of Jammu and Kashmir, or for that matter, the rural part of India. So I think these are some of the areas where we need the support, we need an integrated approach whereby we create the required capacity amongst our ecosystem, and at the same time we are able to deliver on time at the place where it is required. So I think all in all, it is good time for infrastructure. There is, as I said, big push. There is money available. Let me tell you, the reality is that there is money, but then the money is not coming to the projects, or it is not coming to the people who need them at that point of time. And this is where people like Deepak ji, you will have to play a big role in convincing the authorities as to why they need to look at infrastructure projects from a different perspective. PPP, unfortunately, in this country has been, abused or misused. I would say that when it is PPP project, the authorities think that it is all public, or they think it is all private. That handshake is not happening between public and private. Either they get into too much of regulations, thereby tying up the hands of the private sector entrepreneur, or they give it so much freedom that the private sector fellow has to go to each every table and every regulatory authority and find a solution on his own. I think somewhere we need to adopt a mechanism whereby the presence and the participation of the government institution or the government entity is not just visible, but is actually making the difference that the private sector player wants. Private sector can bring the efficiency, private sector can bring the technology, private sector can bring the global best practices. But in the country where you have so much of diversity and also other regulations, I think the role of the public entity, whether it is the department or a corporation or an authority, is equally important, and they need to be there when the private sector player requires. I'm going to stop here because I know that there is another speaker. At the same time, there are various other aspects of infrastructure that the budget has addressed, and ease of doing business in one area where I think infrastructure sector is still expecting a lot. We want more and more flexibility in terms of discussing, negotiating, renegotiating the contracts based on the performance, based on the deliverables that the private sector player is able to deliver. Yes, there are projects where private sector is actually benefiting, but the private sector does take the risk. So if there are benefits that are coming to the private sector, make sure that those benefits are passed on, make sure that those benefits help the private sector entity to actually take up few more projects and demonstrate that performance or that efficiency at more places. Thank you very much, FII, for giving me this opportunity to share my views on some of the important aspects of infrastructure and the connection between the budget and the forthcoming infrastructure activity in the country. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to invite Mr. Hitendra Mehta from FII. He is an expert in special economic zone in India. He is also the member of international affairs from FII. Sir, I request you kindly just introduce the other speaker for this event.
Thank you so much, madam. I think after hearing very insightful address from our previous learned speakers, so we are eagerly looking forward to now hear yet another very eminent speaker, Shri Sudhendu J. Sinha, who is Senior Advisor with Niti Aayog, on the topic Gati Shakti, a game changer in infra development. Before that, it is my profound privilege to just briefly introduce Shri Sudhendu Sinha ji. So he is an alumnus of St. Stephen's College, Delhi. He did his majors in history, and he has experience of over 29 years in operations, infrastructure planning, and coordination and management at field and policy making levels in Indian Railways with considerable success and appreciation. His performance has been recognized and awarded twice at the national level. Is a recipient of National Award for E-Governance 2019-2020 for excellence in providing citizen-centric delivery by Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances, Government of India, and National Award for Outstanding Services, Ministry of Railway, Government of India, and thrice at the Ministry of Railway. He also served as Dean of Indian Railway Institute of Transport Management, Lucknow, and General Manager Web Application at the Center for Railway Information Systems, CRIS. He has training and enrichment from Japan Railway Management, Malaysia, Singapore, INSEAD, and Germany, UIC, and United States of America, Oracle. We welcome you, Sudhendu ji, to this webinar of Federation of Indian Industry. We are looking forward to hearing from you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Can you run the video of FII also?
We just try, so for the information, Mr. Sinha will join next 5 minutes. He is joining through the link. He was in another meeting. So, okay. Yeah, so we are, just a moment, sir, just be on.
So in the meantime, we can run FII film, and then maybe if time permitting, I'd like to maybe have some quick views on one of the important segment of infrastructure, which is special economic zones.
Yes, sir, please continue.
With the permission of Deepak Jain, sir.
Yes, sir, please.
You can have the film of FII first, please.
Sir, please just share your expertise on there. So just allow me moments to connect the video. After your speech, I will just run the video now.
Okay, okay. And when Sudhendu ji is there, so kindly just interrupt me. I'll then stop and we'll continue with his address, right? See, today's topic is very, very important. Budget 2022 impact on infrastructure, and focus is, I suppose, on road development. So I think overall infrastructure development is one of the key element when we talk of inviting foreign investment, when we talk of creating a business conducive environment, or when we talk of ease of doing business. Availability of world-class state-of-the-art infrastructure is the very basic thing that any businessman, any investor, whether it's a domestic or international, they would look forward to before investing in any project, whether it is in any state or elsewhere in India. So on this aspect, as all of you are aware, Government of India had a policy called Special Economic Zone Policy, and this policy was first time launched way back in 2000, when there used to be an exim policy. And then exim policy was, that one paragraph in exim policy was changed, and it was an introduction of special economic zones policy, and it continued by way of piecemeal provisions in various provisions of Customs Act, Central Excise Act, and other relevant acts. But that did not lend enough confidence. That didn't instill enough confidence amongst the investors. So they wanted a separate legislation, special legislation to deal with this kind of, sector, like which talks of industrial infrastructure development. So then in 2005, government came up with a Special Economic Zone Act after doing comprehensive consultation with the industry, with other stakeholders. And in 2006 February, this act was operationalized when the SEZ rules were notified, February 2006. And just to share with you, when we started in February 2006, the exports from these special economic zones, they stood at around 8,000 crore rupees. We're talking of 2006. And over a period of time, now if I give you what this scheme delivered on ground, so I'm just sharing the numbers of 2021 exports number. In 2021, we touched the export of 7,60,000 crores against 8,000 crores, which we started in 2006, and we we landed at 7,60,000 crores. And this was a COVID impacted year, 2021, mind you. And in 1920, our exports were almost 8 lakhs crore rupees from these special economic zones. And in this fiscal also, if I share the numbers till December, so we have around 7,15,000 crores worth rupees of exports already taken place in the first 9 months, which accounts for almost 23 to 24% of India's total exports. So this actually shows that how big contributor special economic zones policy has been to India. And in these 9 months, 29% growth has been recorded over exports of corresponding financial year 2021. Now, having said that, in India, we have, although almost 16 years passed since this policy was launched, it has somehow lost its sheen, because over a period of time, there have been so many changes, legislative changes, regulatory changes made by the governments, particularly tax-related changes, which actually dampened the spirit of investment into the special economic zone of late. When minimum alternate tax was introduced in 2011-12, and then dividend distribution tax was withdrawn, exemption was withdrawn. So that from that period onward, the investment has actually been on a decline, but exports have been increasing year after year. So considering various representations by industry, and Federation of Indian Industry also made various representation to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry to review the SEZ policy. And finally, in this budget 2022, when Finance Minister made a very significant announcement that now government is going to replace the existing Special Economic Zone Act with a new act which is going to be introduced. So this is indeed a very welcome step, because in the existing Special Economic Zone Act and the rules, there were certain very important issues which required amendments in the law, amendment in the act actually, and government was facing tremendous difficulty, because some of these amendments require changes with regard to income tax, some related to GST, and some related to operational issues, like if you were to sell in domestic tariff area from these special economic zones, so these sales have to be in foreign currency. So this used to cause a very difficult proposition, although because these special economic zones are called as deemed foreign territory, therefore anything coming out of that has to be a deemed export kind of situation, although we call it DTA sale, but the law requires that the payment against these sales has to be in foreign currency, which actually became a hurdle insofar as these SEZ units were concerned. And their tapping the Indian market was concerned. So series of representation were made, and the government has considered all of them, and now the new law is underway, and we are hoping that government will take into consideration all the previous experiences. And at Federation of Indian Industry, we are of the view that government should come out with two different policies. One for manufacturing sector SEZs, there should be a different policy, and which should be linked with the Make in India policy, export from India policy, all those policies where we need to augment the manufacturing capabilities or manufacturing capacities of the country. So there should be a separate policy, because we cannot have same policy for manufacturing SEZs and for service sector SEZs or trading SEZs. So these two are different, segments altogether. So therefore, our Federation of Indian Industry, it has recommended to the government to come out with two different policies, one for manufacturing and other for service sector SEZs, which will include your free trade zones policy and trading SEZs policy also. So I think government would give due consideration to these submissions of the federation, and this will give tremendous fillip to the exports from the country, and this will be, I think, a big contribution from the Federation of Indian Industry also. Because if I was to tell you that today we have around 20,000 hectares of land available for manufacturing from these special economic zones, and they are not operating at full capacity, whatever special economic zones we have. As on December 2021, we have 268 special economic zones, and only 5,600 units are operating from these SEZs. And these 268 also, they're not operating at their optimal capacity. So idea is that they should be allowed to use their full capacity. And even if government need to do some relaxation to allow these SEZs to tap Indian markets also, that should be done without failure, like it is done in case of various other countries SEZs. If you go to United Arab Emirates or you go to any other neighboring SEZs also for free trade zones, so they allow their SEZ units to actually tap their domestic markets as well. Although they provide a level playing field, so that is not in dispute that there should be a level playing field when they cater to Indian markets. But then their access to market should be allowed, and there should not be any conditions like selling in foreign currency in the Indian markets. So those should be taken away by the government in the proposed new legislation. So I have we Sudhenduji joined, madam?
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. So I think I already shared about our federation's representation on this sector particularly, which is very, very important sector in infrastructure development, more particularly industrial infrastructure development. And it holds tremendous potential, not only for infrastructure development, but also for employment generation also. Currently also we have 2.6 million people employed in the special economic zone directly, and double of that number one can easily understand that they are employed by the support infrastructure which are catering to these special economic zones. And till December 21, these SEZs, they have received investment to the tune of 6,38,000 crore rupees, which is, I think, quite impressive from any parameter. So employment also, then earning of foreign exchange also, if one see, and then development of infrastructure, which is state of the art. If you visit any of the special economic zone, they are actually no less than any international special economic zone. So they are offering state of the art world class facility also. I think government should use this SEZs as a base for make in India policy or make from India policies. Most of the potential investors who are thinking of moving their manufacturing bases from China or any other country, so they'll be very easy you can say audience for our new SEZ policy. it's up to the government how it looks at the new SEZ policy. Over to you, Shweta ji.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much sharing your words of wisdom with sir and your great knowledge with my other audience and all are speaking from the different part of this event. So, sir, Mr. Sinha is about to join. He's another meeting. He will take around 5 to 10 minutes. And Mr. Verma is going to be play 1 hour FII. VD is here. So, just
I think there is some comment in the chat box referring to Dr. Ajay's address.
yeah, actually, I got also the same
Dr.
message.
Ajay is
A
there.
lot
I
of
think
people
he
are
can
annoyed.
actually maybe make some observations. We'll be very happy to hear him again. Dr. Ajay Kumar, please.
Requesting him to join sir once.
Are you there, Dr. Ajay Kumar? So in the meantime, I can request Deepak Jain ji. I'm not sure whether he shared a detail about the upcoming events of FII. So we are having some very important events in next couple of weeks. So Jain sir, would you like to share some insights?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so first we have a film, right?
Yeah, then after we'll join to
Sure.
Mr. Sinha.
Namaskar, I am Deepak Jain, Director General, Federation of Indian Industry. We are working towards bringing a paradigm shift of Indian industry. We are working with skill-based, knowledge-based, idea-based industry to create a robust, self-reliant Indian economy. Federation of Indian Industry, creating opportunities, building nation.
think Mr. Sinha has just joined us.
Yeah, very warm welcome, Sudhendu ji, to this FII webinar. So we just gave your introduction in absentia. So we were told that you were occupied in some other important meeting.
Yes,
so we are looking forward to hearing from you on Gati Shakti, a game changer. Your insights on this very important topic, sir.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you, Mr. Mehta, and thanks to FII for calling me for this occasion. My apologies, I got stuck. These are the time when you get hopping from one webinar to another. The only thing that you have to be sure of, that you don't kind of mesh up with it, you don't mix up the topics. So thanks for it. If Gati Shakti, yes, Gati Shakti is it is going to be a game changer. Now, if I might say one thing, let me explain to you the origin, that how precisely it came. So there is a system where the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, he reviews the progress of different schemes on a monthly basis. So it's called Pragati. Pragati is the system whereby he reviews it. And in a consistent kind of reviews, the one observation that he was able to find and subsequently kind of freeze in his mind was that the cost and the time overruns were something that were endemic to the different projects. It was something that was absolutely, it was a kind of black spot, that if everybody wants to make the country great, why it is that our projects go wrong? They are delayed, there is no timely completion, the costs overrun into 2x, 3x kind of thing. What is there in it? So that made the kind of thinking going ahead. And then the product was this Gati Shakti, which was announced on 15th of August last year on the Independence Day. Now, Gati Shakti is just a framework. It is a framework, it is a frame. It is a kind of, you call it a portal, you call it a system. It is not a project in its own. It is not a program. It is a kind of framework on which you can you can create, you can manage a project from the beginning, from its inception, from the design stage to its completion and even beyond. So beyond could be, it could be even monitoring, evaluation, everything can be embedded into it. So the most striking aspect of this particular Gati Shakti thing is that everything is available on one platform. So you can see, for example, I'm just giving for an example. Suppose from Delhi to Jaipur, you want to lay down an additional connectivity. Let's say you want to lay down a road, for example. Now, when the project proponent ministry or organization, whichever is laying down, they will have in sight everything that is between Delhi and Jaipur. So all the infrastructure they will have access to, whether the railway network is there or not, whether how many roads are already available, what is their capacity, what is the traffic that they are able to hold on to themselves. So those kind of, so from the information point of view, you will not be duplicating a project, or alternately, the decision with respect to a particular project will become very, very scientific. That is the first advantage. And the second advantage is because of its characteristic. You know that so many approvals that are needed in the process, so many environmental clearances if they are involved, so many kind of working with other organizations are involved, all of them can be managed through this particular framework, that is Gati Shakti. Hitherto the system was that different departments, they were working in their own kind of on the cocoons, they were working in their own silos, and lot of what I would say lateral kind of information exchange, lateral kind of thinking through, involvement in the planning process was not there. Now it is like that. So railway ministry will be able to have a sight of what all is going in the roads between in a particular area. And in addition to that, both of them will come to know that if they are moving in a particular area, how many, the Gati Shakti framework is so minute. It is so granular. So many levels are there that even it can tell you that what would be the number of trees that needs to be felled in a particular area if the infrastructure project is going on. It will need that what all approvals, which all departments, everything it gives you the kind of access to. That is the reason why this I say that Gati Shakti is going to be a big game changer. Let me tell you that the way we say that Aadhaar or digitization initiative or direct benefit transfer, these are the initiatives, principal initiatives of Government of India that we say that these are the game changer. Similarly, Gati Shakti in the infrastructure development framework, in that paradigm, it is going to be an absolute game changer. I'm not trying to say that there will not be time and cost overruns in future. There would be, there may be, but the number would reduce, number one, drastically, and number two, it can be easily pointed out that who is responsible. The responsibility will not be diluted, not lose itself in the thin air. That is why very specific engines of Gati Shakti, they have been identified. Of course, they are the principal transport forms: roads, railways, airports, mass transport, waterways, logistic infrastructure. And similarly, these 7 engines to be pulled forward in economy in unison and to be supported by energy transmission. If you see that in this budget also a lot of focus is there on climate, a lot of focus is there on energy transition. So a lot of emphasis on renewable is something inbuilt into it. So IT, communication, bulk water and sewerage, national infrastructure pipeline, these are going to be some of the kind of assisting and allied things with Gati Shakti. So the 6 principal pillars: comprehensiveness, prioritization, optimization, synchronization, analytics, and dynamics, they have been framed for the Gati Shakti. And these are not mere words. Each word has got a very clear, actionable kind of points which one has to take it forward in the framing of policies. And my understanding is that in a very soon, maybe 2 years kind of time or so, this particular Gati Shakti is going to be matured, and then we can see that what will be the positive spin-offs out of it. And as I said in the beginning, and as Mr. Mehta invited me to speak on, that this is going to be one of the biggest game changer in the spectrum of infrastructure development. And well, with the same money, because the idea is that this is going to cut down drastically on the infructuous expenditure, because cost overruns can be arrested in a big way. So naturally, with that money available, we should be able to leverage more and more deliverables, more and more outputs, and thus with the help of this Gati Shakti and the infrastructure initiative, the National Infrastructure Pipeline, for example, one of the most aspirational ever, we would be able to take this country forward and ensure that the cost of logistics comes down, our goods, our commodities, our products, they become globally kind of competitive, and India is really becomes strongest ever. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sudhenduji. I think that was very brief but very impactful presentation on very important, ambitious, I must say project. I mean, it is nothing short of a project actually, because we have been actually seeing there have been very ambitious projects like Delhi Mumbai Industrial Corridor, Chennai Bengaluru Corridor, or many other industrial corridors have been announced way back. I think if I recall, DMIC was launched sometime in 2010 or 11 at a cost of $90 billion. but then till date we have not been able to see great success on ground. So would you like to share your perspective how this Gati Shakti Yojana or Gati Shakti project would help completing these corridors in a much faster way, and we will see that these are actually operating on ground and delivering the much desired results.
Now, two things are there. One is the greenfield projects, which are being kind of conceived for the first time. They can very easily migrate on the Gati Shakti platform. Number two is, of course, those which are already running and how to migrate them on the Gati Shakti platform so that every monitoring escalation matrix. I'm telling you, the best part is that in this Gati Shakti, you know that where exactly we are failing, where exactly we need to pull ourselves up. And if one particular agency is not able to perform, how the other one can just pitch in and take it forward. Once Gati Shakti is there, then probably these major projects which are otherwise losing on time and cost, they can always be expedited. Of course, whatever loss is there, that has already been lost. But henceforth, it can be ensured that their future, in future initiatives, they are completely on track. And then the targets which are laid down, that is a very, very realistic target. And know that when precisely it is to be completed, what are the breakdown structures. We know that in a very, very short interval, what should be the achievement and whether it is being achieved or not. And the best part is that it is all in the public domain, so you can see it for yourself. Thank you.
That's great, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for throwing light on this very important aspect. I think these kind of platforms, they were much needed and much before needed actually, given that the kind of overruns or kind of cost escalation these projects have seen. So I last remember then that DMIC started from 90 billion, then it reached to $150 billion project. So I think Atul ji is also here. Atul sir, would you like to
I have one
make
question.
any observations?
Yeah, I have one question for
Sir, most welcome. Most welcome.
Sir, I am a person who is into building bricks and mortars, physical infrastructure, mostly for transportation sector and also for the logistics. And I had given one example while unfortunately you were not there because of your other preoccupation, and that is there is an infrastructure which is required for the economic activity, and there are certain support infrastructures that are there. The example being, say, seaport is a place where cargo changes the mode in and out. But nowadays we say, as a port people, we say our ports have moved into hinterland. They are no more on waterfront. Anything that is required on the waterfront, we are in a position to create, develop, build. But unless the seaports are supported by a very, very efficient hinterland connectivity, seaports cannot function. Now, my question here is, sir, for Gati Shakti, who's going to be the responsible for completing those projects? Are the line ministries going to be still responsible for completing those projects? I'm sure if that is the case, then there is some kind of, you have either the group of secretaries or some setup wherein a regular review is taken, and whatever thing that you mentioned, that some agency would chip in and make sure that the other agency is not delaying or is not kind of failing whatever they were supposed to be doing. That is one question which is still unanswered for people like us who are in this ecosystem, as to how that is going to unfold.
Now, Mr. Kulkarni, you rightly said, in fact, what you said is the line that is being taken precisely. So EGOS is there, there is an empowered group of secretaries that would be kind of monitoring it forward. And as you rightly said, that because of course, line ministry, whichever is the project making body, whichever is the project proponent, of course, that does not change. But in the process, whatever facilitation is required, whatever kind of assistance is required from different ministries, that is available, made known to everybody. So one cannot say that I didn't know or nobody told
Exactly.
me.
I mean, I think this is exactly my pain point. I mean, sometimes we hear from the people, oh, I didn't know that the port is coming up. How can one say that I didn't know that the port is coming up? But that is the reality. We have seen this. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
Very rightly said. So probably in this particular thing, in Gati Shakti, they are also building up the escalation matrix also. So if you fail, then it is the level goes up. You can't be, say, hiding it below the carpet and just whiling away the time. There is another one. If a particular level is not able to take its call, there's somebody at the higher level who is waiting to take a call. So that is why, that is why it has been built in such a way. Of course, right now, of course, it is in the process of development, I would say. It will take some time to get the complete picture, and the complete maturity will take still more time. But you rightly said that now nobody can say that I didn't know. Those things are not possible in this. Yes. Thank you.
I think Atulji, you can maybe share your perspective how this Gati Shakti platform would like to positively impact road connectivity or maybe in development of road infrastructure in the country, particularly these industrial corridors.
No, definitely. I mean, see, for us, I mean, as I said, for the infrastructure players, it's not just the road infrastructure, the entire infrastructure domain that you take. I mean, I would say of late, road infrastructure has gathered attention of the people, and therefore everybody is after the road infrastructure, and somehow road projects do get, the required clearances or necessary support from the local authorities or etc. But you talk about the other infrastructure sectors, whether it is airports or whether it is waterways or whether it is the other projects, and we still struggle a lot. I mean, it's difficult for I mean, I won't blame I mean the people in those particular chairs, because unfortunately what has happened is we have had this habit of working in silos, and therefore especially when it comes to the water transportation, which has been my focus. I mean, I sometimes mention it to my friends in the bureaucracy, that for you people to understand water transportation, it's very difficult, because it's more than 1,000 kilometers from your seat. I mean, from Delhi, you take any nearest seaport, and it is more than 1,000 kilometers. So by the time you reach and travel that 1,000 kilometers, your energy is lost. So therefore, it becomes very difficult for anyone to say that why I need this kind of infrastructure. It's not just building the port, but you need the repair facility there. You need the the customs officer. I have worked on certain projects where we have seen that the port is ready, but then the custom officer is not available, and the custom officer has to come every time 400 kilometers away. Like I worked on a project which was in Ratnagiri, and for my ship cargo handling, I had to bring a custom officer from Mumbai. Or for that matter, at the port you have the crew change, like you have at the other airports. At the seaports also you have the crew change, and unfortunately then FRRO person is not there in nearby vicinity, so I have to bring in every time from Mumbai. No, I think it's not just the infrastructure, and I would submit this to Mr. Sinha, that so it's not just the infrastructure, it is the whole ecosystem, and I'm sure PM Gati Shakti will cover even those aspects, not just the infrastructure creation, but also these human resource aspects and the technology aspect as well. We are talking about that integrated logistics platform, ILP, etc. is coming up. But I think it's high time that we have these kind of facilities or infrastructures, whether it is physical brick and mortar infrastructure or the digital infrastructure in place to actually get the desired benefits or the outcomes that we are anticipating. Because we all know our logistics cost is very high. Our products are not competitive in certain geographies because of the logistics cost. And if in certain cases, if the sea freight is $250 per container, my domestic or hinterland transportation cost is more than 25 to 27,000 rupees. Now it makes it absolutely unviable because of not having that infrastructure in place. So I think these are some of the areas that we expect the Gati Shakti to focus in addition to the infrastructure part of it.
I think it is good that the government has now looked into these projects, these aspects very seriously, and it is seems to be very keen, to actually improve the overall efficiency insofar as execution of these infra projects is concerned. There is one question in the chat box. I'd like to hear either Sudhendu ji is there. Are we really performing bad on highway projects or rural infra projects? So what is your view on this?
Sorry to interrupt. If Utendu sir left, he has another meeting on that. So
Okay.
I think we can conclude our decision here. Another speaker of our last session, Dr. A. Mohan Rao, has just joined with us. So
all right.
So carry
Mr.
on.
Rao is from CRI.
Allowed. I mean, on the highway, national highway projects, I would see there is marked improvement, both in terms of the kilometer length that everyone knows, but also the material of construction. There are many experiments that are being done to use the eco-friendly, environment-friendly materials in order to achieve the desired outcome. I mean, right now, I'm working on a project assignment, a problem statement mentioned to me by the Road Transport Ministry, and we are looking at the crash barriers, of an alternative material, instead of the aluminum that we use. Of course, aluminum and other material will be used when it comes to the major highways and also where there is heavy traffic. But in certain roads, definitely we can look at alternative material, and that's what we are currently working on. IIT is working with us on different designs for different material that can be used, including, for that matter, bamboo, which is a big kind of opportunity for the rural economy also. So these are some of the things which are happening on the national highway sector. But I would say on the rural roads, yes, we still need more capacity there. We need more people to actually acquire those skills that are required to build all-weather and more, I would say, better roads when it comes to rural. I think there is some opportunity, or I would say area for improvement.
Great, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your observations.
Very valid point which Dr. Ajay Kumar had raised, that was regarding money raising for the projects by the vendors. That's a very valid point. I would request Mr. Sinha to put a certain kind of problem solving forum in the Gati Shakti platform, where on real time basis you can hear to the problems of the vendors or the contractors. I mean, there has to be some kind of platforms where the problems can be resolved. It is, of course, yours is the best platform where all these issues can be listened to and they can be addressed to. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Jensab. Thanks a lot. I think with this, we conclude this session, and over to you, Shweta ji, for the next session.
So
please
much.
carry on. Thank you so much.
Say all my panelists of this session. This was really very healthy and good discussion was there. So moving forward on the last session, I would like to invite Dr. A. Mohan Rao. Dr. A. Mohan Rao is the Senior Principal Scientist and Head of Traffic Engineering in the Safety of Division of CRRI, Central Road Research Institute, New Delhi. Mr. Rao is presently working as a Principal Scientist in Central Road Research Institute, having 22 years of experience in the field of traffic engineering, transport planning, road safety, audit, and the transport economics. He has completed his PhD from the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, and a post-graduation from the National Institute of Technology, Warangal, in 1997. He had made significant contributions in road safety audits, the various road made such as expressway, national, state highways, and the rural roads. Extensively used GIS and the GPS applications in highway, transport engineering, and the development of database on the, for the national highway and the participation preparation the rural roads plans for the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. And he's guided more than 100 students, leading the award of their master's registration of bachelor registration with capacity guide to co-guide. So Mr. Rao will speak today on the road safety technology and the innovations. Thank you, sir, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think I am audible.
Yes, sir, he is audible.
Yeah. Thank you very much. First of all, I thank you very much for inviting me to share my ideas. But I have small presentation. Can I share?
Yes, sir. Please. Sir, you can see there is a screen sharing option.
Yeah, screen share.
Yeah, so you can just share from there.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for introduction. Actually, CRRI is we works in road sector with the particular to road safety. There are many divisions are there which works in different domain, but particularly in transportation area only with respect to roads. Yeah, if you see this road accidents, actually it is a common phenomena in India. India ranks first in the road fatalities. Number of road deaths, India is the first, but if you take country, 11% of the accident related to deaths. So means in the death fatality rate, our country contributes around 11%. Latest data means 2019, actually 2021 due to pandemic, the data is not published by the ministry. But if you take that to 2019 data, it is around 4.5 lakh accident took place. In that, around 1.5 fatal accident means this many people are lost their lives in that particular year. If you see, I'm taken last 4 years, but if you see trend, the trend is slightly in the decreasing mode. That is not much more, but the decrease is started. If you take the 2018, 2019, but the composition in the urban and rural, the accident composition is more on the rural. That maybe reasons might be different. But the accidents are happening in the rural area is the more on that roads. Yeah, if you take the fatal accidents, so fatal accidents also there is a 4 types. Ministry records in the 4 types: fatal accident, grievous injury, minor, and non-injury means only property damage. This is also slightly decreasing mode in the 2018 to 19. That's around 0.03%, as I told, that the decreasing trend is started. If you take then where these accidents are taking place. If you take particular road means that state portion, the accidents are the more accidents are taking place. This is the same trend last previous 3 years. Next major contribution is the curved section, means where there is a curved section is there, that is the accidents are the second largest source is that, and other bridges and potholes, even ongoing construction, that things also is contributing a lot. But if you take reason, what is the reason these accidents are taking place? Obviously, it is the over speeding, means the people, road users are not respecting the posted speed limit placed on the road. So people are going, maybe this may be because of the good facility or ignorance of the road users, but this is the more prominent reason of the causing accident is the over speeding. Okay, and yeah, but in overall, if you see, there is a three main component in the accident causing. One is the human and the road environment and vehicle. And this dealing people or organization, line organizations are the different. If you take road environment, that NHI, PWDs or the PMJs, the rural road, all that agencies, they have to take care this road environment, that it is causing around 28%. Human factors are the many, maybe road user or the driver. This major component is the caused by human factors. Vehicle also causes the accidents, of course. So regarding that, I'm not competent enough to talk about vehicle causes, but in my due course of this presentation, I will cover these two elements, how we can measure and we can. Actually, in the road safety, there is two types of approaches are there. One is the reactive approach and another is the proactive approach. Reactive approach is Angrez meaning itself is that means something happens and then we will go and act to rectify that. That is, reactive approach is what? The accident block spots will identify accident block spots and will find the reason for that. Then we will try to rectify that accident block spot by doing the engineering measures and whatever. Actually, what is meant by accident block spot is a road section around 500-meter length where a 5 road accidents are taken place in the 3 years period. Okay, if 3 years period 5 accidents took place at a particular road section, that we will declare as a block spot, and the remedies will be taken for that particular block spot rectification only. Even ministry has some programs also to rectify the block spots. Or any that location 10 fatalities means at that location 1 accident might be, but many fatalities are more. Means if it is a 10 fatality also, that we can declare as a block spot. This approach is why it is a reactive means something happen, we'll wait for happen, and after happening we'll rectify. That is a reactive approach. Then if you come to proactive approach, means there is in the proactive approach different techniques are there, different technologies are there. One such technology is the conduct of road safety audits. You have to conduct all the road section. It is irrespective of the class of the road. Means that may be expressway, national highway, state highway, even it is a rural roads also. You have to conduct the road safety audit. Road safety audit means we'll take a road and we will strictly scrutinize and we will see with respect to vehicle, if you are a vehicle user, what is the points you have to see with respect to vehicle user, pedestrians and all road users we will put ourselves in their position and we'll rectify. We'll try to see what are the problems in that road section. This will be conducted at the different stages, means at pre-feasibility stage, preliminary design stage, detailed design stage, construction stage, pre-opening stage. Means any BOT project, it is before going for the commercial operation, it has to be compulsory go to the pre-opening stage. Once it is open, then operation and maintenance stage. As at the CRRA, we will associate with many road owning agencies. We have conducted many road safety audits. Then we used to give the advices for the roads, what are the shortcomings, how to go about rectification plans also. We are given one such. We did UP state and Rajasthan, Orissa, Bihar. These states, the selected road network we audited, even some expressways also, Agra-Lucknow expressway. That express we acted as an auditor and we rectified. We given suggestions, they are implemented. Here, many discussion, if you do road safety audit, afterwards, what will happen? For that, as a research project, we have taken this Noida expressway, where we are the auditor. We are suggested many suggestions. From our road safety audit suggestions, we are implemented 95%. Most of these our suggestions they are implemented. After implementing, then what we did, then we are taken how much the amount they are spent for that, and after implementing, what is the consequences, how the accidents are reduced, all that things we are conducted for this road section. Of course, here we used one HDM software. It is which is civil domain software. There we have to give all the road related inputs. It will give outputs. So in that, for that particular 24 kilometers of the road, by doing the road safety implementations, there is a two factors are there: crash reduction factor, actually crash modification factor. Means by doing this, how you are the reduced the accidents. Around it is 0.8, means around 40% of the accidents are the reduced. If you do in the different the persons killed, total number of accident, persons killed, persons injured, also we can see how the consequences of the road safety audit. And if you want to see economics of that investments, that also the software will do. We did that road section. In the 24-kilometer road section, that internal rate of return, we got around 23. Means whatever the investments we are spending, it is okay. Means it is justifiable. And we are doing one more project. This is for the, it is also comes under proactive approaches, intelligent solutions for the road safety through technology and interventions. This is the IRASA. This project we are doing in association with the Intel and IIIT Hyderabad in the study area in the Nagpur. Here we are using the artificial intelligence applications for the for this project. Actual goal of this, it is an ongoing project. Right now, it is a 4 months is completed. This project yet to complete. Our aim is we want to reduce that Nagpur area 50% of the accidents. How we want to reduce is the sectors we are covering: vehicle safety, mobility analysis, and infrastructure safety. Vehicle safety, we are installing one devices which works on the artificial intelligence basis. It will guide the driver, it will give the instructions to the driver. Based on that instruction, if the driver accidents will be reduced. And mobility analysis means we will identify the gray spots, means where the potential black spots. For that, in the infrastructure safety, we will give the remedial measures. If you properly address it, before we will identify and we will try to rectify that black spots. This is a device which was installed in this. Primarily, we are doing for the buses and the cars also. This device is installed in the buses so that it warns the driver about the speed limit. If the driver is going above speed, means it will warn that driver, you are going above the speed limit of that thing. Forward collision warning means if you are going very close to any front vehicle or any two-wheeler, then it will warn the driver, you are going before 3 seconds, it will warn, so that he can take the action and he can avoid. Even any pedestrian collision warning also means any pedestrian is coming, pedestrian may be cross pedestrian or along the pedestrian, it will warn the driver. Sometimes driver, they will depart the lane abruptly. That also it will give guidance to the driver. Headway monitoring means when the driver is moving very closely to the front vehicle, it will warn that you are not maintaining the proper space, so that it may lead to the accident. That way, that is the one project we are doing for Nagpur municipality. In that proactive approach and artificial intelligence we are applying. One more thing is the surrogate safety measure. This is also proactive approach. In this, what we will do in this approach, there is a conflict. Means in the road when you are traveling, conflict is the inevitable. Means conflict will comes. But the conflict severity, as it increases, the severe conflicts will lead to the accidents. If you are able to identify the serious conflicts by taking a proximal surrogate safety parameter, if we identify on any road, so that there we can suggest the improvements based on this surrogate safety parameter. We also can reduce the accidents happening on that road. In this, the technology what we can use, this we did this for the Indian condition. We developed the threshold values based on the surrogate safety parameters, and by taking the one interurban corridor from Faridabad to Gurgaon, in that the data can be collected using the video V boxes. Means it gives the speed, acceleration, deceleration, and the how is moving. When this is the one of the typical example how the vehicle is moving, vehicle speeds. Here is the abruptly reduced and increased. That type of things we can collect it, and based on the proximal parameter, that there we can identify where is the potential black spot or the potential accident prone areas. There is many parameters are there. Based on that parameters, we can find out the location where that section of the road is leading to the accidents. If we identify that, we can take the measures to rectify that that section may be or geometric deficiencies, but if you have the straight section, geometric deficiency, driver deficiencies are the for what purpose is leading that we can do and rectify that. And these are the what we are doing. It is a road related. Some portion surrogate safety also comes in the driver also it will take. But a major portion is contributing towards the accident is the driver. In that human factors will contribute to more. These are the many human factors will come which contributes or which leads to the accidents. These are I am listed, but each parameter measurements are the different methods are there. Say for example, inattention means when a driver is driving a vehicle, he is not attentive or incorrect assessment of the situation. Sometimes driver will think that I will flee that situation, but that may lead to the accident. So yeah, this is fatigue and micro sleep. It is a major predominant phenomena which is occurring now. Why? Because these roads are the greenfield roads or the access controlled roads share is increasing. As a result, the stress or the friction on the driver is the less. So what is happening is there is a driver nothing to do, just he has a very speed goes. Is in that phenomena, driver will be subjected to the micro sleep, means he will get little bit to sleep type, or the fatigue means if he drive a vehicle more than 50 or 100 kilometers, then he will be subjected to the fatigue. That length we have to measure it, and there we have to put some interventions. Intervention means maybe in the darbals or hotels, so that he can be intervened, he can stop his vehicle and wait for some time so that he can drive further. In experience, it is not means there is a driving who is having more than 18 years, they will have a driving license and they are coming, but experience matter it. Gender also is there, driving habits. Some drivers, they will put only one hand on it, that also in high speed and non-adjustment of the driving. If you take this any expressways, it is 100 is the minimum speed. Now we are planning to increase 120. There, small, any one vehicle is overtakes, it creates lots of the psychological effects that the driver has to adjust. Conscious disregard of the road traffic rules. Many rules are already there, but the consciously means drivers will ignore that. That also leads to the accident. Reduction of the cognitive functions and the psychological rate. Cognitive distractions. I have one more slide. That influence of the alcohol and health alignment, road familiarity, tendency to take risks, and the panic reaction, restricted view, glare. Glare is one more phenomena. It is when you are driving a vehicle in the night time, the opposite vehicle light will fall on the driver's eye. That's why he can't see anything. Like he will be subjected to the disability glare and discomfort glare, and he requires a glare reaction time. But the driver, if its speed is more, this glare is the affects the driver. That's why these are the phenomena which will help, which will lead to the accident. So if you want to reduce the driver related things, then we have to measure the things. Actually measure the things with distractions. All these elements occur due to the distractions caused to the driver. Now, if you take that distraction, there is the three types of the distractions are there. Visual distraction means some distractions, they will take your eyes off the road, like very big hoardings or the any side by encroachments. They will tend to take your eyes on off the road. That will cause the efficiency of the, it will reduce efficiency of the driving. And manual distraction means they will take hands off the wheel. Means while driving itself, the driver will try to do many things that also distracted. Then it is a cognitive distraction. Cognitive distractions means mobile phone talking, and they will think something that, and the work stress on it, that also will distract the driver and lead to the accidents. Here, to measure that type of the accidents, we can measure on the field or in the simulation. CRRI, we developed one simulator at the CRRI. This is the simulator, which is the actual car body. In that, we will put the drivers and we'll ask the in this difference is the road will be, the stimuli is introduced to the driver through the video. And this simulator has the clutch, brake, and gear systems, everything. Then he will drive, and how he will behave different phenomena, and how much time is required. That we will measure on this simulator type things to quantify the driver distraction. Okay, same thing if you want to measure in the field, what technology we will use is eye tracker. Eye tracker, it is a simple glass type of thing. We have to ask the driver to wear when is driving the car, so that it will collect. It is a very simple device. It won't cause any discomfort. It is just only 85 grams. And when is after collecting this, you will be collected, so that in that what he is seeing, where he is seeing, how much time he is seeing, and what is the fixation, sockets, all that things will that parameter will collect it, and will quantify that how much distractions, what type of distraction is placing. This is the one technology. When the driver is in the field, we used to collect the data in this fashion. Okay. One more thing, driver fatigue is actually in the driver fatigue. We can find we have one more project we are doing in collaboration with the Siri. That is also one more CSR lab. Actually, prototype is developed, but it has to be field trials we have to do. When the maybe truck driver or the car driver, when he's driving, if length is more, then we will be subjected to micro sleep or the yawning, and that things we want to measure it by putting these devices. Even it measures the ECG and heart rate and what is the mouth state, and all that types things will be collecting in the field also. Okay. In this way, we can collect the driver distractions, and we'll quantify and we'll find the locations, and accordingly we can suggest for the improvements for that location. Thank you. Thank you once again for giving this chance to share my ideas.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your very valuable inputs and your very valuable knowledge and words of wisdom here with us. Thank you so much. Just spend your very precious time with us. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Sanjay Gupta, sir, from FII to share for the session. Thanks.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I was listening to Dr. A.M. Mohan Rao. I could see, the clarity and, the decades of experience. And possibly, by looking at the CV, if you talk about the traffic engineering, transport planning, transport safety, public transport, I think all the areas, he has worked so much in these research projects. And I was very keen to see, when we're showing the various distractions, whether it's a visual or, manual. So I think it was very interesting presentation. I think one need to go into. And we are seeing, a lot of nowadays using of the artificial intelligence and the use of telematics and automotive technology. The number of road accidents now is getting reduced, and so many safety features are coming. And I could see, there was some, I could see there were some questions also marked to you, Mr. Rao. I think Mr. Santosh Kumar has a question for you. Have your institution has ever made any road infrastructure and traffic infrastructure audit to come with a goal plan to develop road projects at a level where they are urban, rural or connectivity, etc.
Yeah, that's we mean. So we conducted road safety audits to the even expressways also we are conducted, even Agra Lucknow Expressway, this Eastern Peripheral Expressway, that Mumbai that Eastern Expressway and Western Expressway, and even the state highways also, for that Bihar state highway. There we will conduct the road safety audits, and we suggest further improvements. Even our organization is the certified, conducts the course to become a certified auditors. That road safety auditors, they have to undergo our course. Then we will certify them. We will take the classes and we will take them to the field. Then we will certify the auditors. That also we will do. We will do. That is for the infrastructure safety. For the driver safety, because some of the truck owning companies, their drivers, we will take them. Even for the SPG drivers, before inducting into the special protection groups, they have to come to us. We'll conduct many tests, are the driver related tests. Then we'll conduct them. If they pass, and then they will be inducted into the SPG.
Yeah. I think even Mr. Santosh Kumar of the view, what he's saying, we always believe that the ground level infrastructure is always should be the priority. Then bridging the technology back implementation. Technology can only be 10% to the value addition of the real infrastructure, and behavior changes of users can be brought to individuals while licensing itself. So anything you like to comment on this, Dr.?
Yeah, it is right, because infrastructure, okay, but the behavior parameter, it has to be inducted into the road user. Maybe user may be pedestrian or the driver. It has to be inducted. For that, regular trainings, and we have to awareness programs that we have to do. We generally do then the awareness programs and all that. But it is really, and that simulator what we are shown to you, it has to be kept in the RTOs across all RTOs. Then the rigorous exercise and the behavioral patterns, if we do while issuing the driving license, obviously it will be good. But right now, this behavioral aspects is not taken into consideration while issuing the driving license.
Thank you. And really, the FI is taking all these key areas, and which is a very important. And we are talking about the transport 2050 of India. And Deepak Jain ji, who's taking a lot of this initiative on the budget 2022 impact on infrastructure road development. So we are almost at the fag end in the last session. So I request Deepak Jain ji, if Jain sir, you are there, so maybe you can give some concluding remarks.
Sir, Jain sir have some important meetings, so Mr.
I'll
will join
really,
us.
Okay.
Sanjay ji, you please carry on. I think once you're done, maybe I'd like to do this in absence of Shri Jain sir.
So I'll just give it to you, Mehta sir. Good to see you after a long time.
It is actually pleasure seeing you, Sanjay.
Always on the big programs, but you seeing it here also. It's always good to see.
Yeah, it's actually pleasure seeing you, Sanjay ji. I mean, I've long seen you as president of Institute of Cost Accountants of India, and now seeing you at FII platform, and it is really, really very pleasant.
So I hand over to you, Mr. Mehta. I think you can give the concluding remark.
Thank you so much, Sanjay ji, for yeah, thank you so much, Sanjay ji. I think our today's session, which was on a very relevant, very topical theme of Budget 2022 impact on infrastructure, and the theme was on road development. This has been more than justified. Starting from having Mahesh Podarji addressing the members, the participants, and then all the session speakers. I think they have been extremely good, and they have been very candid in sharing their perspective on different sub themes of the today's webinar. So starting from Dr. Ajay Kumar from Fox Unit Group, then followed by the next session we had Mr. Atul Kulkarni from IIM Shillong. So Dr. Ajay Kumar, he spoke very well on sustainable infrastructure policy and planning by.
Sorry, sir. Sorry to interrupt. I think you were not in that session. Dr. Ajay, about that. It's about the financial project segments of this infrastructure sector.
Hello, am I audible? Shweta, am I
yes,
audible?
sir. Yeah, yes, sir. You audible.
Yeah. So sorry, I think there was a network issue, so I got disconnected. So we had very wonderful session, by Mr. Atul Kulkarni, and it was very ably, moderated by CA Atul Gupta ji, who's been past president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and chairman of GST committee of FII. Followed by the session, then we had Mr. Sudhendu J. Sinha, so who spoke, who's senior advisor with Niti Aayog, who spoke on the sub theme of Gati Shakti, a game changer in infrastructure development. And he very briefly, but then he very aptly addressed various key aspects of Gati Shakti platform and how it is going to help the infrastructure development in long run, and how various agencies will be connected on a single platform, and anybody could see like what is the progress of particular project on a given point in time. So this is indeed very ambitious project, or very ambitious platform launched by the government of India, so which is going to deliver, I think, very good results in long run. So this is what Mr. Sudhendu Sinha opined. And after that, in the last session, we had just listened Dr. A. Mohan Rao from CRRI. So he spoke on very important issues relating to road safety, designing sustainability within the buildings life cycle performances, and very other important subjects relating to the sub theme. And then there were very you can say important observations were made in between by the Director General of FII, Shri Deepak Jain ji. The last session was very nicely coordinated by CMA Sanjay Gupta ji, who is chairperson of Corporate Insolvency and Restructuring Committee. My thanks to all the panel speakers. Sincere thanks on behalf of FII and all the session coordinators for taking out time and being with us in this very important webinar. So I would request Shweta ji to kindly acknowledge our supporters of the event and the other media partners also of this event. Shweta ji, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for helping me out to join this session, and this Johannes Gupta sir also. So I would like to now, I'm concluding this event, and then before closing, I would like to say very special thanks to my media partner, NRI News from Ireland 24/7, and Corporate Insight, Mr. Chawla. From NRI News, Manu Chaudhary from Ireland, and a very special thanks to supporting this events, Fox Rubicon Capital. Dr. Ajay Kumar is the chairperson for this organization, and I really want to say some very sorry for that some interruption was there. We'll discuss later. And then thank you so much, Sir Hiten sir. Thank you so much, Sanjay sir. And thank you so much, all the panelists, all the audience with the different parts of the world who are just, joining this event and just spare their very precious time. I know some people are very early morning from the Brazil, from 6 a.m. and then some people from part of, US, from the Germany. So thank you so much. Thank you. And definitely we would like to see in our next event, you all people in there. And we would like to go that physical events in very soon in Delhi within a month or within 2 months or there. So we would like to see all to join all the people in there. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.